We're back. Another episode of Hot Takes and Half Truth. It's your boy Ivy Joe. You can catch me at IG and Twitter at I am Ivy Joe, and that's Joe Jeaux. Flying again solo in the JKM Studios live, recording live here in West Palm Beach, Florida, and due to popular demand, I reached back out to some guys that helped me out on the latest episode of Hot Takes and Half Truths to do a little bit of recaps and kind of see where things going. Good news, co-host seems to be on the landing strip. Be with us on the next episode of Hot Takes and Half Truths. So be on the lookout for Just Kinging. Next episode should be back up and running. With that said, on the line today, my brothers from another. We got my man Gerard live from the NYC again.
What's up, man? What's up, bro? It's yeah.
Good to have you, brother. And my Deuce this time is also on the same coast. The boy is in North Carolina. That boy is bi-coastal.
Yeah. What's going on, people?
Cooling, baby.
Wait a minute, what you doing? Why are you in North Carolina, bro? Hey, bro, you know, I'm international T. You know, okay. I'm trying to rack these miles up. No, but seriously, I had to come home for my daughter's dance recital, which they did a wonderful job. So, and my son's birthday too. So, nice. Shout out to Kyle and happy 15th. Love you.
Wow.
They didn't make the move yet?
Now, huh?
I have a young man now. Yeah. Now, what'd you say, G? They didn't make the move yet? No. So not yet. We were waiting for them to get out of school, which is I think this week, first week of June. Okay. So yeah.
That was up. So
yeah.
With that said, my brother from another, Gerard, I just want to give my condolences on your loss. I kept you and your family in my prayers over the last week.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, man. Yeah, man. It was my grandmother died, and had to fly back to the crib to go spend time with the family and show that I love her once again. And but what's funny, like I said, man, it felt like a celebration. When family get together, right, and everybody's in a positive spirit. And we got together, man. We celebrated. We celebrated an angel, and I think the family's gonna be better off. Because she left positivity behind her, and I think it was cemented in her death. So it's we will always remember her for who she is and what she believed in and what she taught us, and we have a mantle to carry. So it's nothing but positivity, man. So everybody's good.
I think it's very telling on someone's life when they close their eyes. People celebrate their life more than mourn their death, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's also a testament to us being raised in Louisiana, where you just kind of raised to celebrate it, to celebrate death, and not really mourn on it, be it with the second line or whatever. So so good. I'm glad your family got to celebrate a life.
Likewise.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it.
Good deal. With that said, we didn't really get into this last time. But it's a regular segment on the show. It's what you're listening to segment. Went on and had another brother of ours live from the 972 call in earlier this week to give his takes on it. I always thought the brother had a good ear, and wanted to go ahead and give him an opportunity to get on the show and give his piece on what he think is the good music that's out right now. With that said, my brother from another, Kelly Carter. On this week's episode of What You're Listening To, I've reached out all the way to the 972 to one of the foremost neo-soul critics that I know of. My brother from another, Kelly Carter. Why don't you say hello to the people?
Hey, how you doing, brother? How you doing, man?
I'm well, man. I'm well.
Glad to finally make the podcast, man.
I'm glad you were able to call in, my man. I've been waiting on this, bro, because I know you into the music scene way heavier than me or my co-host Ja'Cory, and I just wanted to make sure we get the people some good, solid recommendations on music, and I always respected your opinion on it. So
definitely, man. I appreciate that.
Glad to have you called in, man. So how was your week, though, by the way, before we jump into it?
Pretty good. Good and short, man. Memorial Day had everybody off Monday. Then Tuesday was slow from everybody recovering. So by the time the day hit, week was over.
Yeah, man. I always look forward to them short weeks, man.
Yeah, me too.
Good deal. So, we talked a little bit beforehand, but I'm just going to turn this over to you, brother, and, let the people know what you've been listening to, man, what you want the people to pay attention to.
All right, man. Appreciate it, man. Well, me have a pretty big, diverse music ear, but I heavily listen to a lot of neo soul, R&B, and mellow hip hop is what I call it, a little soul hop. There's one of my favorite artists right now, a guy named Mac Ayres, Ayres, white guy from New York, man. He just dropped a song today, I believe. Let me double check, but I believe he came out with something they call Jumping on the Moon.
Okay. Well, check that out.
Check that out, man. And he had a project come out late last year. The name of the project was Something to Feel. Bunch of good tracks off that, man. Listen for something different. That's a good place to start, guy. Mac Ayres.
And what I guess what are you talking about on that, man? Just
man, he's the most of the dude. So it's a soulful album. Most of the stuff I listen to is relationship based.
Gotcha.
So it's always something dealing with the other sex. So
with the fair sex.
Hey, nothing wrong with that, man.
No, sir. All right, so
other guy I've been listening to lately, the guy named V. It'll be kind of hard to find if you kind of just searching because V is such a easy search. He's an R&B guy, real different sound, man. His name of the song is All I Want by V.
And that's just straight up V as in Victor?
Just V as in Victor.
All right.
So a couple of songs he has out. One is the All I Want. That just came out a couple of weeks ago. It's just a single. And then he had another single come out about 2 months ago. And the name of it is Bad for You.
I like the name of that.
Yeah. And he got a and the title doesn't mislead you. It is a different perspective from a male on talking to a female. He's literally telling the woman he's bad for her.
That usually works.
Right. Straight and direct. One more artist I want to, well, not an artist, I'm sure you guys know about it. A guy named Currency. He just dropped a EP with a producer named Static Selector. And this just came out last week or 2 weeks ago. And the name of that project is Gran Turismo. Real dope, soulful beats. A bunch of features on here. He usually don't have too many features. Usually just do him and usually it's him and Wiz mostly.
Yep.
But on this one, he got Jim Jones, Jada Kiss, a couple other cats, man. It's a dope project. It's a very soulful, man. Something to put in while you're riding. Real dope. Easy listening.
So, what you got going the rest of the summer, man? Am I gonna see you out in New Orleans, man?
Yes, I'll be out there for Essence Fest, man. You know, I can't miss the Essence. I love it. Best weekend in America for adult black.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I have to admit to that. I've been telling people out here that since I moved out here, man.
Yeah, there's no weekend like Essence for 30-plus black male and females, man. It's
good deal.
A bunch of people together hanging out and no issues.
Hell yeah. And I guess to be more specific, this segment is brought to you by Vice and Play, who will be presenting Ladies Love R&B at the
pre-lounge on Friday.
That Friday night, man. Music by
if you want to hear good music, that is the place to be. Yes, you will hear all the R&B that you never hear out in the club.
Got guest host DJ Brian Michael Cox, the Groove Kid, and hosted by none other, my man, Taquari TQ Hatch.
Yes, sir, man. another guy with an amazing ear for music. So if I trust anybody to put on a good show, it'll definitely be him.
Yes, sir. So let the people know how to reach out to you, man.
Instagram best way, Cool Carter 4. I'm not really heavy posting pictures, but I do post what I listen to. I'm starting to post what I listen to in my stories. So I probably have a couple go up today from after I get through today's listening and the ones I was feeling for today.
Good deal, man. Appreciate it, man. I appreciate you calling in, man.
All right, brother. I'll speak to you soon.
All right, my man. Yo.
All right. Yo.
I'd like to thank again Carter for calling in, giving his takes on good music this week. Try to make it a more of a reoccurring visitor. With that said, I'll pass the baton to my guest host and what you thought of the selection.
Yeah. So the selection of what?
Kelly Carter. Kelly Carter.
Yeah,
selection.
I've never heard of those songs. I'm definitely gonna check them out now, man. I love soulful hip hop, R&B. I'm more of an R&B cat than anything, but I love it. But to add a little bit to that, man, I'm really into instrumentals, believe it or not. But I'm into like really good production, and so what I've been into, man, is this guy named Ryan Celsius. He's a producer. I don't really know much about him. But I listen to his music on YouTube all of the time when I'm just got some downtime. Ryan Celsius. RyanCelsius. But he does these series called like Trapping in Japan, Trapping in Brazil, Trapping in Brooklyn, Trapping in Heaven, Trapping in Paradise. But it's always like trapping in something. And you can find it on YouTube, man, real easy. But what he does is he takes pretty much trap music and he layers like soulful production or beats behind the lyrics. So he'll take a Gucci Mane song and he'll like just put an old school, like old whatever you can think of, some old R&B or some like old school R&B and layer with that. And just, man, I'm really been into that.
And what's his name?
Ryan Celsius.
Yo, you know what's so crazy?
What?
I think I had an Uber driver one night that was playing him because he was playing it off of YouTube, I think.
Yeah,
and
okay.
I was like, man, what is that? He was like, oh, this something, because it was an instrumental, but it was like the dopest vibe instrumental I had ever heard.
I heard it. I went out one night and I was actually, where was I? I think I was in Chicago. And I went out one night, man, and I heard this beat. I'm like, bro, who is that? And some dude, he put me onto him, man. And so when I went home, I looked him up. I started checking his music. I'm like, bro, this dude, this is dope, man. It's dope. So that's like my go-to, But I'm really into like soulful hip hop. I love this collaboration of jazz and hip hop. You marry those two. That's my go-to right there. So that's what I'm on.
Okay, well, so I appreciate Cool Carter and the recommendations because I too am a very R&B heavy neo soul type person. I hadn't heard the first person he spoke about, but the Bad For You, I've heard that. I think it's actually really good. It is.
It's a good recommendation, huh?
It is. That's a solid recommendation right there.
Good deal.
Honestly, I've been kind of just vibing out, right? I'm real into laid back. I kind of had to take a break from R&B for a minute because I kind of just felt like everybody in R&B wanted to be a rapper, right?
True.
And it wasn't like they were making real music. It was just rapping about street shit. And I'm like, man, that's not R&B, really. So anyway, but I kind of started gravitating more back to R&B when two women, Summer Walker, caught my ear. And
yeah.
Summer Walker she nice with it. I think she's got a new EP called Clear or something. She got a song on there called Wasted. Absolutely love it. If y'all don't know it, you know her. She's the young lady that has a song about girls just need love, right?
Yeah.
She really just opening it up and just being honest and candid. Well, that's her. And then there's another young lady by the name of Umi. Umi is also dope, right? Like, if you're looking for a nice little vibe, and I just found out she's actually from Seattle. So apparently they play her music a lot. She's from Washington. I think she's from Tacoma.
You're talking about the state of Washington.
The state of Washington, not DC. The state of Washington. Y'all got to remember, I'm bi-coastal. I'm not in DC no more. Sorry, DC. Love y'all. DMV. I like it. But no, she's real cool as well. I think her latest is called Balance, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, she a real cool chick as well. Check her out. And honestly, if you're looking for some really chill, good music, I recommend watching She Gotta Have It.
Yeah, they do give some.
Right. The new season of She Gotta Have It has some really nice music on it, nice selections that'll make you like, I ain't never heard that. Let me go look it up. And that's some current music.
At the very least, that's who that is.
Right. Because I think Michelle Cello has a new song on there that's really nice. I think it's called Bitter. But yeah, man. So that's my vibe. I'm pretty much laid back, sun shining. Let me just lay out on the porch and chill type vibe right now.
Gotcha. And I guess for me, and that this is one of the reasons why I guess I wanted to get other thoughts on this, other people to input on this. I find myself listening to old shit. And
me too, bro.
And I guess the one thing, and I'm just gonna bring up a song. I was in the gym yesterday and it came on because sometimes I just have my shit on shuffle, and it's been a while since I heard this song. Green Eyes by Erykah Badu.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
that motherfucker is hard, man.
Yeah, bro. Everything she put out is hard. Bro.
Yeah, by everything is hard.
That shit is hard. I mean, very vulnerable, and I feel like it's like one of those situations that everyone's been in, even male or female. And then the thing, I guess the thing I like the most about it is how many. It's a long ass song. It's about 7 minutes, and it's like 3 parts to the song, and every part is like that.
Right, that's right.
You know how what they talk about? There are like several steps of denial. That's that's first the denial, then anger, then this.
Oh right, yeah.
And basically that song goes through
all of them.
Yeah, basically that song goes through all 3 of them.
What's going on, brother? You good? You need a hug?
I'm good, man. It just
because music speaks about life.
True.
Your current moods. I'm just trying to make sure my brother is all right.
Oh, I'm good. I'm good, baby. I'm good, baby.
Hey, bro.
But it was just one of those things where it's been a while since I heard it, and it instantly was like, man, that I remember that time back in school. I was hurt. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's funny because I think you always go back. I think music. It almost like it tables like what you were going through at the moment you heard that song. Like I can when I listen to songs now, especially old school songs, I think about what I was doing at the time I heard those songs. Right. So especially like those songs in high school, like it just reminds me of what I was going through at that time. So it's I think you attach a memory to a song.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that's what good music does.
True.
Right. The music takes you to the experience.
Or even to the extent, like in that case, when it dropped, because that was like 1999. I hadn't had any of that issue, but then years later, and kind of similar situation, just so happened to hear it, like, damn, that motherfucker's hard.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check that out, man.
Yo, check
Green
this out.
Eyes.
Check this out.
It dropped in '99. I forget the name of it. Mama's Gun. I think it's Mama's Gun.
Yeah.
So
my favorite, one of my top 3 songs of all time is on that album, bro.
Which is what?
Didn't you know?
Yeah. That go hard too.
Bro.
Yeah.
Man, that's man.
Yeah, that go hard too.
So real quick, before since we talking about eyes and songs that go hard, I'm gonna give y'all a song that you probably never heard of because nobody listened to this soundtrack, right? All right. But it's a song from the Daddy's Little Girl soundtrack. Now we're going back to like 2007, right? And people don't really listen to Tyler Perry soundtrack, but there's a song in there called Brown Eyed Blues. by Adrian Hood. Man, just go take a listen to that song. Just take a listen to it. The boy is blowing about, really just getting caught up with this brown-eyed chick.
Yeah.
Okay.
It happened.
Because it happens, right? Yeah. Y'all go check that. I'm gonna say it's a nice song that you probably never.
Hey, look, man. Since we talking about music, I want to say rest in peace to the greatest producer of all time, who produced that song. Didn't you know? By Erykah Badu, Jay Dilla.
Okay.
To me, the greatest producer of all time, Jay Dilla.
Yeah, man. Did not know that.
Oh, bro.
Yeah, I didn't know he did. I didn't know he did that.
He passed a long time ago, man. But
no. But I didn't know he did.
It's from
that
'99.
Song.
Yeah.
He even did that. Yep.
That was up. All right. Well, with that said, moving on to the next topic on the dockets today. Trump had himself a field day this week.
Man,
Your
somebody gotta take
boy
phone.
went on.
Hey,
and,
I feel like this was light work for Trump, bro.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people feel like, and before we even get into the topic, a lot of people feel like it could have been sort of one of those things where after the Mueller press conference dropped this to kind of change the narrative a bit.
Right.
They, of course, they say they've been working on it for a while, but it always just seems, I don't believe in coincidence like that. But anyway, this week via Twitter again, our current president's favorite medium to declare a new political stance, decided to slap 5% tariffs on Mexican imports starting on June 10th, unless the flow of Central American migrants stop. Now they have to the 10th, and then if they stay unresolved, it can go up to as much as 25% on October 1st.
Correct.
With that said, I guess one of the things that keep coming up about this particular these particular tariffs, there's no real goals set. I mean, or at least there's no measurements of how we're going to measure whether or not you are being successful or not. So it's sort of kind of open-ended. There's no like, well, if you can stop the flow of immigrants by, let's say, for instance, 30%, half, then we can come back to the table. But right now it's just one of those kind of blanket tariffs, and open, and it's sort of open-ended. With that said, I kind of, I guess I have a few more things to say, but I'll bring it to the table, brothers. What do you have to say on this?
So I have a lot of frustration around this, and basically,
I imagine you do,
because I was basically within my company and corporation doing a massive fire drill on Friday because of Twitter fingers. Donnie over there, right? Because I think what people are not really understanding is his Twitter fingers now have created a global wave, right? It's not really just, I need Mexico to police their immigrants. What a lot of people may or may not know is a lot of the global, large companies, they manufacture out of Mexico because it's so cheap, right?
And it's so close to the States.
And it's so close to the States because you gotta remember, it's customer service, and when time is of the essence, and margins are very thin, but you make money because of high volume.
Yep. And I guess and not to interrupt you, but just to kind of elaborate on it, it's a lot easier to truck stuff into the States as opposed to putting them on
ocean freight or putting it in the air, right? If I got to go from EMEA, or if I got to go from Europe to North America, I got to go to air, I got to go freight. It's easier for me to go to Mexico, put it on a truck, and get it to wherever I need to get it, or a train. So when you put a 5% tax on things that need to be shipped in to a company, and into a country, and a company may only be looking at 3% profit margin on this entity, then your 5% tax, which is just initial, has already put them in the red, right? And it's a cascading effect because my corporation may support another large corporation, and that corporation may support another large corporation. And because all of these large corporations are kind of in bed together, it's one deepening effect, right? I think a lot of people are not flinching at the 5%, but at the real possibility of 10, 15, or 25% tax. And that's because Trump has put this out here with no real clarification of what does change look like.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Yep.
And so as a company, you have to prepare for the worst. Well, if the worst is an indefinite outcome, you have nothing to prepare for. You literally have to look at your bottom line and say, okay, what does catastrophic look like, right? And I would assume that a lot of people were in a lot of war rooms, such as myself, for about 12 hours on Friday, trying to think like a child, for a lack of better terms, because that's what we're dealing with. And this is a personal thing now. I think Trump embarrasses me as a man, right, because of his actions. He does not act as a man should. I didn't even get into the presidency side of it. Just as a man, you know, if a woman talks bad about you, why do you feel the need to shame her in public on Twitter? True. Or if you I heard that he called Meghan Markle nasty.
Yeah,
because he heard she said something. I mean,
I agree with you in general. I mean, if you read the whole context, he's basically saying what she said about him was nasty, and then he turns back around and says something to the fact, well, I hope she does well in her role. You know what I'm saying? So while I agree with you, like, man, I don't know why you
my point is this: the knee-jerk reactions are not presidential, nor are they manly. And not putting men in a higher light than women, but we should govern ourselves accordingly, right? And the president of the United States is a representation of the people of the United States. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's unfortunate, but I think it's a good depiction. I just don't want that story told. Like, you know what I'm saying? Maybe we should clean up our house before we start showing people what we living like. You know what I'm saying? And Trump is not the best representation. And because I used to think the president was a figurehead, right? I used to think the president. I thought that when Barack was in office, I was like, he did great things as a figurehead. George Bush started. I was like, George was dumb as shit. He's just a figurehead. The government will be all right. I didn't realize until Trump took office exactly how much power the president had and why you cannot put a moron or a coward in that position.
No, so
he will exploit it.
So in theory, I guess I agree, but I will say also what helps is when you have, I guess, the social norms that were in place, say, for instance, during the last Republican president, that they wouldn't push to certain places. Now they're willing to go. And now they got the asshole here that's willing to be the front man for it, for things that we always been trying to do. And now he don't care because he is completely partisan. He's not even trying to act like he's trying to, expand his tent. He's just trying to make sure that the people that's in his tent is there. And so in that instance, and then he takes into account, the norms of the presidency, as far as doing more of these executive orders. Executive orders,
right?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, those are things that while other presidents definitely did, they didn't utilize them in the manner in which this man is doing. And
because it comes off like abuse. Because with the Mexican tariff order, it literally is triggered by the word invade.
And so
he's painting the picture as if we're being invaded.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like,
and
really?
I guess the thing about it was a lot of that was given to the presidency under those normal circumstances. Now you got a guy that's like, I want to be I want to appear like I'm doing something, and since I can't get the Congress to do what I want when I want, what can I do in an executive order? And he can actually, at least for, I want to say, essentially a half a year, he could put like tariffs in place before he actually have to go to Congress and get them to sign off on them. And I guess, with the last Congress that was in place, they kind of rolled them in. Whereas this time, he in about 6 months, he's going to have to come to the Congress and ask them, whether or not, or potentially, and maybe that's what the increase does, starts the clock over again.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think the increase itself, if you put a 25% tariff on Mexico, you've already got a 25% tariff on China. Like, that's there, right? Mm-hmm. You put a 25% tax on Mexico. Now you playing with rich white folks' money. I'm not gonna say white folks. Now you playing with rich, powerful people's money. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I think he can get away with white supremacy. He can get away with, provoking militarized police officers. When you messing with poor people is one thing. When you mess with powerful money, that's a different animal.
Yeah, but here's the problem with that is it's okay if he does that. If I was rich, I wouldn't care because most immigrants who come to America are actually entrepreneurial. So they create jobs. What he's doing is he's eliminating the competition. But look, let me say something, man. Let's talk about the tweet that he sent first of all, because I want to talk about what actually does not support his tweet. So the tweet said that the problem is that Mexico is an abuser of the United States, taking but never giving. I want to come back to that. Mm-hmm. And he said it has been this way for decades. Either they stop the invasion of our country by drug dealers, so he's calling Mexicans drug dealers, cartels, human traffickers, coyotes, and illegal immigrants, which they can do very easily. And our many companies and jobs that have been foolishly allowed to move south of the border will be brought back to the U.S. through taxation. So that's what he tweeted on Sunday. Now, see, this is why, in the last podcast, he talked about the ignorance of the populace, right? Mm-hmm. Now, this is what a lot of people may not know about immigration. Immigration is, not to mention, before I get into that, a Mexican official, Obrador, said that they're doing whatever they can to stop illegal immigration. However, they're open to additional measures without violating human rights and whatnot. But he also said that, and I like this point, he said social problems are not solved with duties or coercive measures. And that the U.S. has a history of being a nation of immigrants.
Yeah, he fucked with him.
I like that. I love that letter.
Yeah, he fucked with him on that letter because that was like a direct letter to the president. Yeah.
Yeah, we are a nation of immigrants. But now let's talk about immigration in and of itself. Now, illegal immigration, not just immigration, but illegal immigration actually enriches the U.S. economy.
Yep.
And I don't know.
We already talked about that, too.
Yeah, the rhetoric is that, yeah, they want to spin it as if it's hurting the economy. It's actually helping. And it helps because they actually create jobs. Most immigrants who come to this country, they actually create jobs. In fact, I read something that given at the average immigrant-owned business hires 11 employees. And so that would account for about 3.5 to 5.5 million jobs in the economy. Also, illegal immigrants also pay taxes. And that's why a lot of people fail to realize that they contribute on an average of over $11 billion in state and local taxes. Illegal immigrants, they help sustain Social Security Trust Fund. Whether or not they may actually even benefit from it, they contribute to it. Yep. So they're contributing to our retirement, but people don't think about that. Oh, and let's talk about DACA. So for those who don't know who DACA is the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, right? And so remember what happened with DACA months ago, where they were trying to pretty much ban all DACA recipients and whatnot. But guess what? DACA recipients actually contribute to the economy a lot. In fact, they were mad because they thought that they were taking away from the taxpayers' dollars. But actually, when they apply for DACA, they have to pay a $465 fee for the application. Mm-hmm. So they're pretty much wiping out all the money you think that they're taking out of the tax fund. They're actually not. It's actually neutral. They're paying a fee to become a recipient of that. So that's another rhetoric, that a lie that they spun to sway the American people. Also, American reform actually reduces the U.S. deficit. So, and so I read something that said, according to the Congressional Budget Office, right, bipartisan immigration bill that was passed in the Senate in 2014, it would have helped reduce the deficit by almost $200 billion.
What was that again?
This was by the Congressional Budget Office, the bipartisan immigration bill that passed in the Senate in 2014.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it would have reduced the deficit by $200 billion, increased investments by 2%, and it would have increased overall employment by 3.5% by the year 2023. So, and here's another little fact about immigration. since crime is such like a big issue in America, I guess supposedly. Yeah. Actually, it's funny. Immigrants actually have a lower crime rate than U.S.-born people. So I just want to throw it out there for all the people who think illegal immigration is such a bad thing for the economy.
G, I wish I had the gunfire button on my shit, because you just dropping hot fire today, huh? You on fire today, huh, G?
Right. Hey, bro, he dropping it on him.
Yeah, bro,
I need to be.
I'm just saying,
he ready to go on Fox.
He cocked and loaded for this one, baby.
He ready. He put you on Fox. He ready.
Man, I'm on something better than Fox. I'm on Hot Takes. You know,
it's true.
But
it's true, baby.
But all I'm saying is that before we just get on the news and start listening to and remember, people who work for Fox News, people who work for CNN, they work for somebody. Mm-hmm. So all I'm saying is, when something hits the headlines, just go do your research, do your due diligence, go really look at, do your Googles. Is that the contemporary way to say, do your Googles and just do your research and see what's really going on before you go out there and start judging Mexicans walking around on the street saying, oh, Trump, they said that this person is this and that. And I mean, dude, Trump called these dudes coyotes, bro. The president of the United States called Mexicans coyotes in his tweet. And
here's the funny part about that, right? And not to take away from the president, because he's a moron, right?
Yeah.
But the people, like we carry ourselves with so much integrity, and we talk a lot of shit about what we will and will not let happen, right? And as black people, we say shit like, oh, like, I'd never go back into slavery. I would never tolerate slavery. I mean, but what are we doing as a collective people to speak out against this shit? Like, we seeing Mexicans in detainment centers that's looking like slave ships. We got this white man on this podium just denigrating Mexicans as if they don't exist,
But that's all political. You know what I'm saying? That's feeding to a narrative that, the others are dangerous.
It doesn't matter, because honestly, it doesn't matter if it's political if the repercussions are real, right? If his political pondering creates a nation that believes Mexicans are criminals, thugs, coyotes, whatever, then that could have generational repercussions, right? Mm-hmm. Because they could end up being the new black. I don't care how you see me. The first thing you're going to see is a thug, and you're going to one.
I'm so happy you said that, because this leads me to my next point, which is, you see all the I don't even want to call us minorities, but let's just say we are minorities, right? Black people, brown people, whatnot, right? So what happens is they already dealt with black people. They did a number on us already, so they checked us off. People checked off. Now it's Mexicans' turn. All I'm saying is, people like you see these Indian people out here who thinking they safe and whatnot, or even these Asians who think they safe. It's like, bro, you next. So it's like, if you think you on the other side and he's talking about those people. It's like, no, it's their turn. But when they're through with them and they do whatever they do, guess who's next? You are. So it's like they need to start thinking about stuff like that.
But I think we do too, though. Speaking, and
no, we do. What I was saying is they've done a number enough already. We're working our way back up. But yeah, like you said, we need to start being more collective in this fight against this new age slavery that's happening right now, because this is slavery. or this is they're trying to start the process of this new slavery right now.
Right. I mean, at least it feels that way to me, right? And I'm just speaking from the standpoint of if my ancestors and my heritage is one of oppression that looks very similar to this, then it kind of feels like I should have an obligation to start that galvanizing movement to basically tell them, look, you're not by yourself here. I feel like I don't have the luxury to say, oh, it's your turn, because when it was my turn, I was looking for somebody, not personally, but like. When we were oppressed, we were probably looking for somebody to help, right? We were looking for more people to say this shit is not right.
I think that's
right.
And I think that's why a lot of like the civil rights leaders that are still alive to this day have like a little issue with the Jewish community from the 60s, because in the 50s and 60s they were with us, but nowadays it just seems like we're kind of on our own now that they kind of, moved on up to the other side, so to speak.
Well, I mean, I agree with you, because but that narrative gets told so skewed a lot of times, where it's not even told that the Jewish community was with us, was walking with Martin, and like as much as it should be. Like they had white people walking with them, but we don't hear that story, right? Now, whether they walk with us now, if I'm Jewish, I'm gonna be like, who am I walking with? I mean, they had somebody to walk with them. Like, you had a figurehead. Well, who am I walking with in your struggle?
But at the same time, that's our problem as far as like, our issues. We're always looking for a leader, and it should just be about, the goal. And we shouldn't be waiting on just one person that, like a Barack type figure that's magnetic and, people are just drawn to. It should just be more about the movement and moving us forward as a people.
So, Ivy, I would love to agree with you. And again, like we about to go into the surgery, G. I would love to agree with you that we are at a place individually where we don't need a figurehead, right, to lead us to where we need to go. But the reality is the masses, I don't care if you're talking about the minority of our culture or the masses of our country, the masses are ignorant and don't know what to do. They may have good intentions. They may want to do something, but if they don't have something, a driving force to tell them or show them this is the way we need to go, then they will be lost. Lost little ants, just running around in circles. So while I agree, I wish it was like that. A movement in itself has to have a driving force. I don't care if that's one person, if that's a group, if that's, Huey and Eldrick were the head of the Panther Party, but that was a movement. It was a party, right? There was a mantra there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talk about Malcolm. We talk about Martin because these were people. We talk about Marcus because these were people. But the movement behind these people is really what I'm getting to. We need something to galvanize.
Well, we do that time and time again. But what happened to all of those people who you just named? The government got involved, and they confiscated the movement. So, so while you say like with what we should do, we've been trying to do it for a very long time.
But again, not to cut you off, G, but again, you got to talk timing, because in a time where these people lost their lives, we did not have the freedoms or the manipulative tactics that we have today. We have so much more at our hands today than they did then.
So let's say Malcolm and Martin and
where today
existed today. What would that movement look like to you?
If Malcolm and Martin and Huey and those were existed today,
I guess what we probably should say again, and I apologize for jumping in, but I guess what we probably should say is if they didn't die, because like
in the
way in which they died.
That's different. If they didn't die, it's different than if they existed today. I'm going to speak to if they existed today in their prime. If they existed today, I believe that the movement would go further because the government is not as overtly racist as it was then. And when I say the government, I'm not just talking about the White House. I'm talking about government and system, the police. But yeah, the police, the judicial system, everything. It is But it's to a point now, Irie. Let's be honest.
Well,
Nobody is walking up to you calling you nigga. Our leaders of the past existed today with the infrastructure we have and the way we've been able to penetrate certain levels of government. You can't tell me that a Martin and a Malcolm could exist today and not make more progress with a person like Maxine Waters in her position where she is, or Cory Booker, or whoever else. Like, we've made strides within government that where it's penetrated enough to where if you have somebody galvanizing people, because that's the problem. The people are not galvanized, and you got people making policies that, what am I making this policy for? What am I fighting for, right? Okay. Let these people galvanize the people and drive you to what you are fighting for.
Well, let me tell you what the real fight is today. My point is that now, see, every time you make a change, so you talk about like if they exist today, what would that fight be like? And you're right. But guess what they would do? Because they are master deceivers. They will change their tactics. So what they do is, I'll throw a lot of money at Rick Quan. I'll throw a lot of money at some little young hood, ignorant rapper or whatever, and let him influence this young generation that's really out threat to white supremacy. And so I think, and this is only my opinion, I think that's how they fight against us now, is they promote the ignorance of us and let them be our quote unquote leaders. And so
I'm gonna end my comment on this to counter that. I have no problem with them throwing money at Rich Homie Quan or any other nigga that they decide is a dumb nigga. The problem is we do not educate our own people to go beyond our own ignorance. Because if you throw that money to Rich Homie Quan, all they can see, in my opinion, I think we've been deceived to believe their power is in their suggestion. Our power is in our execution. We just choose to execute based on their suggestion. You can give Rich Homie Quan all the money you want. It's what he does with it. So
Ivy, let me. I want to make 2 points, and this is going to be my closing remark on this subject. Okay, I got 2 points to make. So I want to talk about Rich Homie Quan because I was listening to him before this podcast. I thought I needed a Chinese translator to I swear to God, bro. I was like, I think I need a translator for this song. So that's the only reason I brought Rich Homie Quan.
I'm about to say, because why you shitting on Rich Homie, man? What he did to you?
I know it was funny. I actually like Rich Homie Quan, bro.
Exactly.
Me too.
Exactly. But it's more so like his rapping is more like singing, which is why I like it. You know what I mean? Like it's like, okay, I can like kind of, it's like listening to an instrumental almost. Like I don't know what he's saying. Obviously he ain't lyrical. But that's the only reason I bought a Rich Homie Quan. But shout out to Rich Homie Quan, man, wherever he at. But anyway,
good deal.
Back to the tariffs, man. My closing remark on this is, at the end of the day, we could talk about the details of it and everything, but this is all about a fear of the browning of America.
True.
And I equate this increase in tariffs in Mexico to the abortion bill in Alabama. I equate those to be like they have the same sentiment behind them. This is a fear of the browning of Alabama, America, and whatnot, and we need to take our country back, right? So, yes, they are imposing laws and doing these things to help increase, white people, the white population, white businesses, and whatnot. This is all a part of the Make America Great campaign. It's all under that campaign, and to me, it's so obvious what they're trying to do. But that's my take on it.
And I guess, just to put my little 2 cents in it, the craziest thing I find about this is, people don't come here if there's not opportunity for them to better their situation. And the easiest and the most effective way of stopping this is to actually enforce our immigration laws as far as with these companies that hire them, like our good president, like 45 and his company. They are notorious for hiring illegal immigrants and using the legal system to help them stay longer than they need to. If you actually enforce laws against those type of corporations, they're not just like the homeowner that may have, the immigrant come cut his yard, because that's what they're gonna end up. That if they were to start doing that stuff, they also would start wrangling up those type of folks as well. But if they enforced it against these companies, that would stop the flow. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's because, and if you look at this is all information that the White House has access to, but in down times, like for instance when we had the financial crisis, immigration into the country went down. If there's not opportunities here, the people are not coming. And the reason why there's opportunities here because y'all not enforcing the laws to these corporations.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like you do that, it will stop. That's the easiest part.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else, fellas?
Nah, man. Nah, I think you said a mouthful.
And just to be a little bit more specific, I think it's more so a fear that when immigrants come to this country, that they don't acculturate, they don't assimilate into the mainstream America, and I think that's what the fear is. That
you know what? I'm so tired of that narrative from white and everybody else. This fucking country is a country of immigrants.
Yeah, and
why is it the fact that your immigrant has been here for 20 years or 30 years or 40 years, so now all of a sudden you don't identify with immigrants? Like, shut the fuck up. This whole goddamn country is immigrants.
And then on top of that, just to elaborate on that is, what in all these big cities on the coast, particularly.
Did you say big titties? Did you say big titties?
Big cities.
Well, we talking about
big
titties.
cities.
That's what it's about. The podcast going to
big cities.
I didn't know that was on
all
the docket.
These big cities, like what I'm saying. You think New York, you think LA, you think San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
In all these places, what they do, they celebrate all these little towns, like the Koreatown, the Chinatown,
exactly,
the little Italy. You know what I'm saying? They celebrate all that. Like, hey, you want some good food? You want some good Italian? You need to go to Little Italy. You know what I'm saying? So you can't have it both ways.
Yep. Exactly.
Well, with that said, next up on the docket, my man G wanted to talk about the China Checklist Manifesto. It's essentially China's way of combating or one-upping the current U.S. stance as far as the tariffs, as well as putting one of their larger companies on the, do not do business or terrorist list. What did they do with Huawei? Huawei?
Well, it's Huawei.
Huawei.
Yeah.
Essentially, they put them on a list that wouldn't allow our tech companies to work with them, and this is one of the largest cell phone companies in the world. One of the largest tech companies in the world. So they had a manifesto where essentially you can earn a spot on the list if you violate market norms, break the spirit of business contracts, which is essentially what a lot of our companies are doing now with Huawei, block Chinese enterprises, and use discriminatory measures for non-commercial purposes, or for all intents and purposes, endanger Chinese national security. With that said, I'll go ahead and bring it to the table. I know G. I'm waiting to hear what G been on fire today, man.
Yeah, man, go ahead.
G been on fire. I'm ready to hear what G got to say.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much along the lines of the Mexican tariffs for the most part, is where the agenda is to get a control of American economy, right? And so this is Trump trying to really force companies in America to buy American, right? So if you increase the tariffs on an international company or a foreign company, then obviously it'll make the prices from U.S. manufacturers more favorable, and so that you'll buy American. So that's his whole agenda. Now, as an American,
I guess the funny thing about it, and I hate to interrupt, but they basically, even the experts know it's already too late for that, particularly in this situation.
Yeah. So, as an American, I support it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I support it. I get it. Well, I'm not that I support it, but I understand it and I get it. To where he's just trying to grow the economy that we live in. This economy does affect us. It affects our children. It affects our families and whatnot. So I totally get it. Globalization.
Say that again. You get what piece of it exactly?
Well, him increasing the tariffs. I'm going to isolate that part though, because I'm going to talk about it holistically. But just that part, I get it, that we're trying to grow the American economy. I totally understand that. That is his job to help the American people and whatnot.
All right, hold on, G, because we are American, right? Give me 4 things that you need to sustain your daily life.
4 things.
4 things
outside of money, like outside of money.
Just outside of money, like just 4 tangible things. Like
need a house.
Okay.
Need a car. Need gasoline. And I need food.
Okay. Let's talk about the car. You buy an American?
Do I buy?
You buy a car that is
my car is American. Yes.
Okay.
I don't even think that even matters no more, because if we didn't bring this up on the last talk of it, but I think they said 18% of American-made cars are actually made.
Well, yeah.
So here's where I'm going with this. The things that we need to sustain us, we are not in an isolated era anymore where we can
the white boys
sustain
let the cat out of the
ourselves.
bag with these free trade agreements.
Right. It just is what it is. We trade and we communicate and we interact on a global level. Your iPhone, like, do you really want them to stop making iPhones or stop shipping iPhones into America?
Well, I guess we didn't really get into it, but the problem, I guess, what's underneath all that, at least from a national security perspective, is, and I think I kind of mentioned it earlier. Experts in the national security realm already said it's kind of too late because China's just too big, and that company is so large that, when it comes to like the 5G and having access to that kind of that network, they're gonna have control over it, to which, like, during times of like war, China, or even just strife like we are now, China could have one of their national companies shut down the network. And so that's kind of what they worried about. But like I said, a lot of the experts from here already said that's kind of, that cat's already out the bag. For all intents and purposes, our communications would be encrypted, and stuff that's not encrypted, they already have access to that now. It's about, making what we have now more better.
I guess my whole point, G, to you was, does America have the manufacturing infrastructure in place to close itself off from the rest of the world?
So the reason why I said it was isolated, right? So I understand. That's what I'm saying. Holistically, which we'll talk about, but on an isolated viewpoint, that's why I support it. Holistically, I don't support it, and I'll talk about that at some point. But so let's talk about exactly. So this is a China checklist manifesto, right? And this is essentially a trade war, between all these countries or whatever. Now, India was the fastest growing major economy. China now is. And so this is a big deal because a lot of countries trade with China. And China has a foothold on a lot of countries' economies. So what happens is, also, for those who don't know what a trade war is, it's pretty much an economic conflict that results from extreme protectionism, where, like we talked about tariffs, a country will raise its tariffs and trade barriers in response to the trade barriers created by another country or party or whatever. And all it does is reduce international trade, which is, like you said, both of you said that, I don't think America's in a position to reduce international trade, considering that our economy is pretty much, it thrives on international trade for the most part.
We're a global economy now.
Right. So, but see, that's what I'm saying. Was the thing, America is, the ego is so big, right? It's like, bro, we don't even have the infrastructure to compete with an India or a China.
At least not yet. Not right now.
No, but we have the ego. We definitely have the ego, but we don't have the infrastructure for it. So I don't think.
Go ahead.
But I think what Trump did is a manifestation of who he is as a person, bro. He's a maniacal, egotistical narcissist, and these tariffs that he's creating is just it's just the effect of that, man. We're not in a position to fight with China on anything at this point. Well, I shouldn't say anything. That's another conversation. But I'm not in agreement with it holistically. I'm just not in agreement. I don't think we have the infrastructure to support.
So the one caveat I would say to that is, if this was a position that we as a country truly embodied, it's something that we could eventually get. Because then, because of these extra costs, then it could become more, makes more sense to have your manufacturing in the States. Whereas the problem is, if Trump is out of office in 2 years, no one believes that these tariffs are going to stay in place. So it doesn't make no sense to put, $1 billion investment in the States at this point. It's about just trying to tread water until the election, for all intents and purposes, at this point. But
for those who don't know, the ban, it started because Trump, this was a direct response to Trump's administration's ban of Huawei, which is, like you said earlier, is a huge Chinese tech company. Yep. And in response to that U.S. tariff hike last month that they did, the Chinese hike, tariff hike was, $60 billion on U.S. goods that's now in effect. So these are all the responses of this. This is the trade war going on right now with China. But like you said, Ivy, I don't think it's going to I don't think it's going to last too long. So I don't think anyone needs to be,
Too many of the rich people are, embody this global economy. It's not like he get out of office in a year and a half, it's done. You know what I'm saying? Probably first thing, like if they're still in place on January 19th, first thing the next president going to do is remove those tariffs. You know what I'm saying? Back to business as usual. You know what I'm saying?
That's a long way away. That's a lot of money to be lost.
At the same time, that may be money lost, but not as much as one of our companies decide to invest $500 million or $1 billion in manufacturing here just to find out that, before it even opens, you know what I'm saying, the tariffs are gone.
But see, that's the thing. That's why I said a year and a half is a long way away, because I can guarantee you, on Friday, every goddamn company that was affected, when somebody says, what happens if it goes to 25%? I can guarantee you, building a manufacturing facility in the United States was on the table.
Yes.
I guarantee we were not the only company. So his intent kind of worked. It kind of worked, because if he wants companies to compete, because I'll be honest with you, if we have to continue to compete, and that means you got to build some shit in America. You know what they're gonna do? They're gonna build some shit in America.
I guess my only 2-bit on that would be, I think what most companies would do, being that we are so close to it, like the cycle is basically upon us. They'll start the process of doing all the legwork so that, around October, November of next year, once it's kind of clear, or the day of, let's move forward. Let's go ahead and move forward. We got 4 years to get this shit started. It's going to take about 6 to 8 months to get all the I's dot and T's crossed, as far as what we really want and bidding shit out.
Now, see, Trump may be a genius, bro, because now let's say he knows that this won't even take full effect, right? What is he doing? Well, guess what we're doing right now? We're talking about it,
right?
And I think that even if that's his only goal, and I'm not pro Trump or anything, but I don't think the guy's the devil or anything like that. Maybe he really does sincerely want America to thrive,
you
right?
You sure about that?
And I know, right? Yeah. But if that is the case, we're talking about it. And I can tell you now, globalization, we talk about how great it is and whatnot, but guess what it's going to do to, this is the negative effect of globalization.
I don't know if it's great, but, hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, look, the negative effect of globalization is there will be less entrepreneurship in this country. I can promise you that.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
And while jobs may not be affected as much, I mean, jobs will be affected, obviously.
Well, ultimately, jobs are going to go away, man. I mean, shit, with all this
a lot
automation.
of jobs are going to go away. Well, yeah, our jobs will be affected, but I'm just saying that what's really going to be affected is entrepreneurship. And all we're going to do is have a whole bunch of foreign companies moving over to the U.S. to support this U.S. market. That's what's going to happen. And so it's just now you're fighting against not just the companies that already existed here, but now you're fighting against companies from Dubai, companies from China and Japan and India and whatnot. So it just creates a larger barrier to entry in your market. And so those are the negative effects of globalization, but obviously prices will go down because you're increasing competition. And what competitors do when they compete, they lower their prices to compete. So
well, at least the ones that can.
Well,
like if you can't lower your prices, it is what it is.
Well, you're gonna get pushed out the market.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah,
exactly. And that's usually like the big boys that can take a loss.
I'm against it only because I think that this is all a part of Trump's campaign to make America great again. But I think it's gonna have while I think it will help the American rich people, it's gonna have a negative effect on us common folk here. And I don't necessarily support. I think that he's looking out for the interest of people who really contribute to the economy, which are rich people. But I mean, I'm thinking about my little cousins and my auntie.
Yeah, I guess what I would say, in one instance, I get it with as far as rich people affecting the economy. I guess in that instance, they have larger companies and they employ a larger amount of people and this, that, and the third. But for all intents and purposes, we talked about this, I guess, on the last podcast, that we are a consumer-driven economy. So if you are essentially putting a 5% and a 20% cost increase on shit, that's going to affect the economy.
Exactly.
Because while it's not going to change what those people do, it's definitely going to change what the bottom 90%, which overwhelmingly drives the consumer market.
And what's even worse, bro, my bad, but like if my taxes go up, let's say $500, $1,000, like I'm really not tripping like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you have people in this country who I'm still shocked to believe this, but it's true, bro. I don't even understand how some people even live. They are so poor.
Yeah.
And we don't even know that they're that poor.
One of our line brothers, I had a conversation with him, and I was like, "Yo, dude, I don't even understand why you worried about them people, man. You wouldn't want their life. Like, you wouldn't want their life. Just pay your taxes and move on. Like, whatever they doing to front and look the way they, look like they doing something, you don't want that life. Like, we don't want it. Like, I don't make what you make. I know you don't want it. I don't want it. So it's like, yo, just pay your fucking taxes, man. Get over it. Move on. That's how this system works, man. You know what? And at the end of the day, if that's all that segment of the population need to keep their, kids, their seeds from deciding, they want to come break into my apartment, break into my home, take what I earned, what I worked hard to get. Well, because they have I guess, in their mind, they have an opportunity for a better existence because they do have a home. They do have food in their house. You know what I'm saying? They can go to school. They can, essentially pull themselves up by their bootstrap. If that's all they need, pay your taxes and let's move on. You have anything else you want to say on that, G? Tony?
No. I mean, obviously we can. Oh, I think last thing I heard was you talking to the LB. And talking about you should be worried about, these little tax whatever increases because it's really not that serious. And I do agree.
Well, essentially, agree. And I guess I need to be more explanatory. Like essentially, I guess it was a situation where they were in like the supermarket, and they buying baskets full, basically on welfare. And but at the same time, they have like designer purses and this, that, and thirds, and it's like You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, why you worried about that?
Man, when I see stuff like that, that's a mental sickness. I really think that's a mental illness. And although it may not be formally diagnosed as that, I personally think that's a mental illness. And while I do want to help correct this problem, you're not going to correct it, bro. It's something that they have to do themselves. So in the meantime, once you create a business, that's a market. That's a market. Once you create a business and go exploit that mental illness like everyone else does.
You essentially,
I'm kind of joking, but I'm actually kind of serious.
But you essentially just said that ignorance is a mental illness. That's what you just
not the ignorance part, but I think there's something underlying with people who, like, man, that's a whole other conversation. Actually, we just talk about that at some point.
I mean, we talk about it, but all I'm saying is that's what it is. At the core of this, most people are ignorant.
Yeah, and what are y'all saying is ignorant about it?
So what I'm saying is, because I'm positioning this to when you describe people are willing to, they live check to check, but they would spend, $1,000 on some shoes and shit, and they broke as shit, right? And they have no idea why, right? That is that's ignorant, and the ignorance is compounded with influence. Now, what is the biggest influence of these people? Their television. And what do they see on the television?
Who's behind the television?
Want, fast.
Who's behind the television?
I understand that. I'm not pointing blame at the people. Capitalists are behind the television.
Exactly.
If you show me a weakness and that's going to get me paid, I'm going to get paid. See, now you're bringing integrity into it. And everybody does not have the same level of integrity. What I'm telling you is, I don't think ignorance is a mental illness. I think a system has been put in place to prey on ignorance and influence ignorance to even be more ignorant, to perpetuate ignorance. That's all that is. If we want to do better, I think we have, and I'm going to table the whole manifesto as this. Companies, countries are going to do what they need to do, right? But at the end of the day, people need to govern themselves accordingly. We need to be more proactive about what we do, what we think, what we put in our bodies, what we have come out of our mouths, and that is all on us. I can't blame Trump because I'm eating McDonald's every 5 days. I can't blame Kim Jong because I don't like running. I can't blame them for not reading. I can't. All these resources at my disposal, right? Right or wrong?
I mean,
because if I have the ability to educate 2 or 3,
well, I guess in theory you can't blame the White House for eating McDonald's, but at the same time, if that's all that's in your neighborhood and that's the only thing that's affordable that you can easily obtain, I mean, who's to blame for that? I mean, it ain't your fault if you can't afford to live.
And I'm not blaming the people that live in environments where you got a damn a drugstore or an alcohol spot on every corner. I'm not blaming that. I'm not blaming them for that, right? But I am blaming the ones that you came from this environment. You got out of this environment, and the first thing you did was run, right? Hey, you didn't look back. My point is, I don't blame the people that are living in shit for living in shit. But I can blame the people that got out of that shit and don't give a fuck about, the people that still living in that shit. And I'm putting myself in that category. I am putting myself in that category wholeheartedly. I'm taking blame for not doing enough. I don't do enough to make change in my neighborhood or the neighborhood I came from in New Orleans. I don't, right? And if we did, if more successful people of color went back and just policed their own neighborhood, right? We would be better off, and it wouldn't matter as much what Trump did or what fucking white man did. It really wouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I partially agree with you. The other part is, I think mental health needs to be addressed in this country. I think that there are a lot of functional mentally ill people walking around, and but they're not really diagnosed, and they're just functional enough to where you wouldn't even know it. But I do think that is a serious issue, but I also think it's a way that I think it's meant to be that way. It's allowed to happen. When you take people that's coming off a boat and you just tell them go make a living with yourself, and you know the trauma is the effect of it. How do you? And it was never addressed. I think so. We talk about you know the lack of the overwhelming amount of ignorance with the populace, and I think mental health, not that it's really an excuse, but I think it's something that needs to be addressed, and that we should really think about that when we look at why people do what they do. And I think we're ignorant in not knowing or understanding the amount of mental illness that's out there, and that affects people, and that a lot of people have gone through traumatic events that we just kind of just shun away. You know, things like the effects of slavery, the effects of rape, the effects of child molestation. I don't think there are services that really help people get over the traumatic things that happen in their lives. And so when I see women that's like women who will stay in abusive relationships, I don't understand it. To me personally, I think that's an effect of some type of mental illness. Like something is wrong with you. Someone hits you and you stay, or someone abuses you and you stay. But let's take that physical abuse, turn that physical abuse into another type of abuse. You willingly accept your abuse. I think that is an effect of a mental illness. I know me personally, you hit me, I'm either going to hit you back or I'm going to walk away. But I'm not staying in that situation. In whether it's a physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, any type of abuse. Now, of course, there's when you start talking about the abuse that the government does to the people, like there's only so much power that you have. And that's when you have to galvanize the people, like you talked about earlier, and things like that. But that's a separate issue. I don't think it's as separate as we think. And I say it like this, right? And I'll tailor it to this point. I agree with you that mental illness is a problem. But I think at the core of it, we need to understand that as individuals, you are in control of your emotions and your actions. And the minute you allow circumstances, someone else to dictate how you maneuver your emotions or your actions, then you are no longer in control, right? And it can cause some type of repercussions on the terms of mental illness, right? I do believe that as a people, especially Black people, we just need to come to grips with the fact that if you are Black, you are suffering from a mental illness. You have PTSD. It just is what it is. And you should probably seek help. You should probably talk to someone about issues. I say that because you have grown up in an environment over decades. You have seen over generations of this illness. Now, what I don't agree with is that ignorance is a mental illness. Ignorance is not a mental illness. There are several mental illness factors that I think Black people have. Ignorance is not one of them. I think ignorance. I never said ignorance wasn't mental illness. Well, but you likened it to our financial practices and how we.
Now I was going to end on that. I was like, I think we need to make sure we don't conflate keeping up with the Joneses as a mental illness. That's just poor financial sense.
But I just close it like this. I agree that we do need to seek help, and it starts with just governing yourself. Like, be accountable to yourself. Be vulnerable enough to admit to yourself, I might need help. Yep. I might need to go talk to somebody. Yep. I might need to sit on somebody's sofa, right? And I think that is the start.
And I guess I guess I can end it on that on this note. I mean, that was a few months ago. I was. It seemed like I couldn't get enough sleep. I was always tired. Was drinking a little more. Wasn't motivated no more. And you always hear, if you listen to as many podcasts as I do, they start addressing mental illness a lot more. And and because of that, and one of the first keys of figuring out how to get better is to acknowledge it. And while it was nothing out of the norm, it was just at that point, it made me think like, man, I may be somewhat lightweight depressed right now, because some of the signs are there. Like, I'm drinking more, I'm always tired, I'm not motivated. I have it was about a 6-month span where I wasn't going to the gym. You know what I'm saying? There'll be times where I walk up to the gym and be like, not today. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But in that instance, you just got to be like Tony said, you just got to be aware of it and acknowledge it. Be willing to acknowledge when you need help.
My only input to that is I definitely agree with Tony with everything that he said. I agree with you too. But I think that it's the fact that we have such a distrust of the system that it's like, okay, well, if I go see see a therapist, who do I go see? You know what I think? I did go see a therapist years ago. I went to see a therapist and I got nothing out of it.
I think you told us that.
Yeah, I went to see a therapist. I got nothing out of it, honestly. So we talk about people need to see a therapist. I think having a good group of honest friends who you trust and that you could be totally honest with, and they will not judge you for anything that you tell them.
It's fair.
If you find, yes. I think that's the best way of therapy. I don't think you should pay some professional, quote unquote, $200 an hour.
So no. I do not disagree. I think what I meant by that is find a form of therapy. I think for Black people, a lot, especially Black men and Black women, I think the barbershop is a therapeutic place.
Yeah, barbershop.
I think the salon are therapeutic places.
Yeah.
Places where you can go, you can laugh, you can just be free and be authentically you and be vulnerable, right? And if that's a sofa, if that's a stranger, because for some people it is a stranger, because you got to remember, a lot of people don't want to be judged. And you put a judged perspective on someone if they know you. You automatically do it. So I'm not going to tell you everything because you already think this of me. So I don't want to let you down or I don't want to disappoint you. So I'm not going to be that vulnerable with you, right? Whereas you can talk to a perfect stranger and do that. So it's to each his own. Some people need that.
Well, I agree with you, and I just say that I keep hearing this: Black people need to see a therapist, and I think people feel real. A lot of people are poor; they can't afford $200 an hour, and because an hour, first of all, 1 hour is not long enough for a lot of people. For one, that means you're talking about a bill of probably over $1,000 of just sitting on somebody's sofa. They're like, okay, but for the average person who may need therapy, what I'm saying is, go do what we just said is go get that confidence, go. Get a good friend. You should be able to talk to your spouse. Go talk to your parents. Go talk to your cousins. Go to the barbecue. Go to the barbershop and just,
But even for those working folks, but even the working folks that can, those benefits that you're paying for, I don't know if you know it or not, but it'll allot you a certain amount of visits for mental consultation, or therapeutic consultation. Know more about the benefits that you are signing up for and you're paying for. Because your company may actually be paying for you to go and seek that help and to get that personal development.
Well, I mean, if I had to go to a company, I don't think I would want to because it could probably stifle your career growth.
Well, I mean, So G, the only thing I would say is that's akin to medical. Like if it's a part of your plan,
I know.
If it's a part of your plan, they wouldn't know.
Right.
No, oh, they would not?
Yeah, because it's like when you go to the.
It looks like a doctor visit.
Yeah, it's a doctor visit.
So it's like protected under HIPAA or something like that?
Right.
Like you don't, it's not necessary. You're not necessarily going to the company's shrink. You're just finding a shrink and you're using your benefits to cover.
Well, guess what? I still ain't doing it. I'm just going.
See, that's the natural paranoia, right? And I want your listeners to be knowing that.
The reason why I would do it is because I would do because I actually went to a therapist before, and I didn't have anything wrong with me, really. Like talking about, I mean, I've had my things in the past where like I felt like I needed to talk to somebody. I had a lot on my mind. Bro, and it did cause a little temporary little side of depression. I was, in the effects of it and whatnot. So I felt like I needed to talk to somebody. And at that point, I didn't really have a lot of people I could talk to. So it was not at that level anyway. So, yeah. And which is why I went to go see a therapist. But, it didn't do anything for me. I got mine from
Again, don't define therapy by one engagement with a therapist. right? That person just could not have clicked with you.
Yeah.
And
Right.
So
right.
I guess to put a bow on it, and it's weird because I literally was listening to a podcast and they brought this up. What a good therapist is. A good therapist usually is the one that allows you to be. It's essentially a mirror of you, and you are working through the shit. They just saying, and just kind of playing off what you're saying as far as like what you think is wrong, and you're working through the issue. But someone's there to bounce ideas off of, not necessarily tell you what's wrong. But
I want to say something very arrogant, something very. I think I am my own best therapist. I'm not even gonna lie to you, bro.
Yeah, that's very nupish of you.
Yeah, I know that was arrogant. That's arrogant as hell, bro. But I've gotten more solutions by talking out things to myself and understanding like what I'm thinking.
yeah, I was just about to say, and that's what I was going to end it on. Like, most of my issues that I got, I didn't work myself through. Was I worked it through with my friend named Mary Jane. Yeah. Mary Jane has helped me through a lot of issues over the last 39 years. So hey, it is what it is, baby. You get it. You get it any way you can, baby. As long as you get there.
You can. As long as you get it out.
Yeah. With that said, moving on to the next topic on the docket. The millennial wealth gap. Another issue came up this week. Our man that's been on a mission today, brought up particularly a couple of items about why millennials aren't making as much money as past generations. And essentially, what they're saying is that essentially they're 34% less than the generation from the 90s, from 96. Essentially, they're making less than they're worth less than $8,000. They're spending, and they're saying that it's caused by.
They're saying the average net worth has fallen under 8,000.
Exactly. And they're saying the cause of that is essentially the increase in healthcare, rent, and education. I think they said something around the fact 17% of their worth goes towards those, whereas around 96 it was 12%, and that essentially, a lot of people like to think that the cost of living has had the biggest effect on it, but for all intents and purposes, discretionary income or discretionary spend has stayed the same at roughly 11%. So it, like I said, that student loan debt is what's really crushing this generation.
Yeah.
With that said, again, open it up to the table.
You want to go, Tony, or
no? Go ahead.
All right. So we all know about the Great Depression, right? And the effects of the Great Depression that happened in this country. And it's funny. This was a great segue because we were just talking about mental illness, right? And finances, or lack thereof, is a big factor with something that influences your mental health. If you can't take care of yourself, if you can't even afford to live, I think it increases the chance of you actually losing your mind or having to think about, just things that you really shouldn't have to think about and worry about every day. Mm-hmm. I think that takes a toll on your mental illness. Yep. So this is a very serious topic. I agree. So now we have millennials, this new next generation having to deal with all these things that, they had a higher percent than the generation or the people even just a decade ago had to deal with. And it's only rising and rising every year. So they talked about the reasons why. So now let's talk about the ignorance of the populace. So, people hear like, oh, okay, well, healthcare is going up. Education is going up. Rent's going up. Well, we need to talk about why those things are going up, right? And because some people may think that, it's just rich people just trying to make more money. And that's not always the case, which is why you have to be educated on what's actually happening, why these things are happening. That way you can properly fight against these things that's affecting us and our children and our families and whatnot. So, we can talk about the details of that, but I just you guys can go ahead and chime in if you want to. at any point. But
so my take on it is this, and I agree with you, G, to an extent. But I think some of it, at least with my engagement with what we call millennials, right, is I find that millennials are probably the least conformative generation that I've known. Right? They just don't like conforming to standards. And I know for us, it was a big thing, man. I'm about to get this job. I got to get this money. I got to get this house. I got to get all this. I got to get this American dream that has been supplanted in my head. I kind of feel like millennials just move much more on feel, and they move much more on what they want to do in that moment. And that just does not play well with the stereotypical American path to success. It just doesn't, right? So, and I think that has something to do with the reflection of net worth, because I don't think they care as much about net worth as we do, or as we did. Like, they don't measure their success on that. I think they measure their success on the moments in life, right, that impact them. Oh, I want to go to Bali. Well, fuck it, I'm gonna go to Bali for a month. Well, we would be looking at it, how the fuck I can't go to Bali for a month. I got bills. I got this. It's like, I'll figure that shit out. This is what I want to do. Or, you know what? I ate a steak on Tuesday, but you know what? I want to be vegan today. Like, I'm just gonna be vegan for now. Like, oh, just like that. I'm just gonna do that. Like, I feel like they have much more freedom to move within their intuitions and within their emotions. And I think that's it's reflected on that number, right? So,
well,
and it's just a theory.
I don't necessarily disagree with all of that. Though. I agree with everything you just said for the most part, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like,
no,
like you said, the key part, what you said, they have more freedom, and they're able to enjoy their lives a lot more than the previous generations.
Mm-hmm.
So and there are negative effects and positive effects of that. I think that outside of what we're talking about, that the fact that they may have less money than maybe we did at their age, that I think outside of that, maybe they're happier. Maybe they're at peace more so.
See,
maybe
so the only, and I hate to jump in on that, but I mean, I don't think anyone is that happy, like to come, spend 4 to 6 years in college, then they have to come home and stay and live with their parents, and have to live with their parents because they're saddled with the debt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I sort of like G. I piggyback on what G says for like I agree with a lot of what you were saying, Tony. But at the same time, I still feel like people want to be able to fucking buy things. Buy a home, buy an apartment, live, not have to live with their parents. You know what I'm saying? Like I still believe that people want their space, and.
And you know what? I'll give you that. I'll give you that. But I'm looking at it from a standpoint. So I know a couple of millennials in that position, right? They went to school, they got this debt, and they're like, you know what? I'm going back to live with my parents for a year because that's gonna save me money. I also know a couple of cats that were like, you know what? I could go get this apartment and live by myself and feel accomplished, or I could buy this fourplex, get 3 of my friends, and they're gonna pay my rent. And I'm saving them money. And that's exactly what he did, right? And it's like, it's a mindset. I think it's just a mindset different. When I was that age, when I was 20-something, I wanted to be on my own. I wanted a fly-ass apartment so I could bring a chick there and be like, look, I did this. This is me. And I'm paying fucking money, dude.
But at the end of the day, I don't know what, I think there are pockets of this younger generation. And so, I don't know what younger generation you see. Maybe there's ones you see on television, or maybe it's maybe your kids' friends or whatever. I don't know. Maybe it's them. But from what I see and what the statistics show, younger people are still going to school at higher rates, right? Despite education going up as much as it is. So the studies show kids are still going to school. Now, they can't help. They got to go back home to their parents because it's too expensive. It's just too expensive to become an adult at such a young age. Where it's harder for them to even get a job out of college because everybody has a degree. So now you're competing with 10 other people instead of just 2 other people. It's harder to get a job. Cost of living is high. Now, this this argument or debate or whatever is our topic is twofold. There, which is one Tony brought up, which is the decisions that they're making personally, right? So and I don't even think it's all of them. It's some of them that they want to travel and do more. I actually kind of agree with that, man. You're young, live your life, don't go into debt doing it. But if you got an opportunity to go to Asia, go to Singapore, go to Thailand, or go to Africa, man, live your life. Don't be worrying about money all the time. And just, I kind of get that because I do it. You know, like, man, live your life, man. You'll figure it out. But at the same time, there's a flip side of that. Yeah, you gotta think about your future. Now, the systemic problem with this topic is why are costs going up, right? Which is the whole point of this topic is, but why are millennials not as rich as they should be, or not as rich as maybe we were at that age?
Well,
but they brought up education, health, and housing costs, right? Those are the main reasons. And I read the article. The reason for the article talks about why these things are happening in their generation. They can't help that. They can't help that education costs are rising. They can't help that rent is going up every year. They can't help that healthcare costs are rising, and it has nothing to do with them. But they are victims of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think we should talk about that.
I kind of think I want to take a step back for a minute because I want to make sure I'm getting the perspective and the assumptions that you guys are making properly. I want to make sure I'm digesting it properly. Right? Mm-hmm. We introduced this topic talking about their net worth is lower than the net worth of previous generation or our generation, right? Are we assuming that because their network is lower, that their quality of life is also lower?
Well,
are we presenting this topic as if it's a bad thing, or is it a good thing, or is it just a topic?
Well, it's definitely a bad thing. So if you want to be able to buy a home and you can't afford a home because, you know what I'm saying, your debt, particularly your student loans is, is prohibitive of that. Well, then that's sad. You know what I'm saying? It's particularly,
I get that, but
go ahead.
But here's my concern is directly correlating net worth to no. Well, we kind of have to correlate net worth to that.
Because that's the American dream. When you buy the home, your net worth goes up.
Right. But that's my point. When you buy the home, your net worth goes up.
But if you can't even get in it.
But
I guess
my point is this. Yes, when you buy a home, your net worth goes up. But if you just became house poor, your quality of life went down.
So I guess
right. You appear rich, but the person that does not have that home is probably richer than you. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people. Not a lot. I know people that make well over $300,000, but their life is not rich because they have made these poor decisions and they have become house poor. They make these impulse decisions. Where I also know somebody that makes $70,000 and goes wherever the hell she wants. Like her quality of life is just what she wants, right?
Yeah, but it's deeper. It's deeper than that.
Yeah, it's deeper than that. I guess what we didn't cover, and is it's they've been talking about it for the past few years, but essentially why they keep bringing this up is because typically at a certain age range, which I guess if you just say, let's just say 29 years old, give or take 5 years, typically that range of people is buying homes. Whereas right now they're seeing a significant drop in that range of people buying homes. And the cause behind that is because of the cost of education, the loan debts, and then you throw on top of that, healthcare is going up. And then not only that, if they happen to make money, enough money to live on their own, housing costs also are going up. So,
but housing costs are going up though because, so of course the housing costs just cost more than 10 years ago. The housing market went up only because banks create the money through money lending, right? So it's supply and demand. More people want houses. Okay, well we need to create an avenue to get, but more people want houses, but they can't afford it with cash. So we'll give them a way to finance their houses, and that way we can fulfill their dreams.
But at the same time,
cost of people. But Yeah.
But at the same
and
time,
house prices rise faster than wages.
Yeah, that's
so that's why you have less people buying houses as well, because if wages went up with the house prices, then we wouldn't even be having.
So that also is one of the issues. Like the cost of education is going up, but pay wages have stayed stagnant.
Well, yeah, how the house prices are increasing,
and in that instance, but at the same time, like we were saying earlier, we're a consumer-driven economy, and one of the largest segments in that economy is housing, particularly buying of housing, and that's falling behind where it should, basically because people aren't making the money. Like that particular generation.
But the real problem, though, is that most of the effect of housing prices or the increase in it was because of speculative behavior with the banks, investment banks.
I'll give you that.
So
and the fact that wages aren't really improving, like they aren't keeping up.
But that's more so of the effect of the speculative behavior of these investment banks. That remember the housing crisis years ago, and they, with their speculative behavior, tried to get in front of the market, and they kind of mistimed it. The ones who got in first, they made their billions off of it, but that's why all this financial regulation went into effect, like the Dodd-Frank Act. And I don't even think maybe that was an effect of that. I think that kind of still did some other things, but a lot of financial regulation went into effect after this housing crisis that happened years ago.
Yep.
And because these banks pretty much like, we'll loan you money, but then they started selling these loans to, these investment companies who, they attacked these, the interest rates were changing with the market and whatnot, and people were overzealous in buying houses. We all know the story behind all that, but at the end of the day, housing prices went up only because of the speculative behavior of the investment world. So, but that's having an effect on these millennials today, where you got houses that was probably like, it's bad in California. I have family that live in California, bro. You see their house worth $1 million. And I'm like, you put that same house anywhere else, the house may be worth $200,000. But it's just California was one of the worst states that was affected by the speculator. In fact, I think it started in California for the most part. That's the reason for that. But healthcare costs is something that also needs to be addressed as well.
Yeah.
And so healthcare costs are up substantially, and which is affecting our paychecks. They're just taking more out because health insurance is going up, and more so because visiting a doctor is just that much more expensive. So in America, in the U.S., because like in Canada, they get free healthcare, and in a lot of other countries, they enjoy lower healthcare because
essentially every developed country in the world has that except for us.
Yeah, but the U.S.
Yeah, we're the only developed country that don't have that.
This is the U.S. millennial issue. Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. Other millennials in other countries, they have their own issues, which we could talk about for another podcast. Like, I would love to talk about vegans in Japan, but that's something different. But in the U.S., healthcare is up almost like is up a lot, of at least 21%, because of administrative costs. So, for instance, like at Duke Hospital, I was reading up on this. At Duke Hospital, they have a case of 1,300 billing clerks at Duke Hospital, which only has 900 beds. So the hospital has 900 beds, which means they can hold 900 patients, but they have 1,300 billing clerks. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Those billing clerks cost a lot of money, and so and I don't want to get too detailed in this, but that's the reason for the rising healthcare costs. But a remedy to that is like a single payer system. Yeah. I don't know if you know much about that, but it's pretty much. But they were trying to in medical reform, they were trying to introduce a single payer system to reduce like the number of like billing clerks. They're just trying to determine how much you have to pay in your medical bill. Like, why do a single payer system would eradicate that problem? Yeah.
Well,
but now you're paying the salary.
That's kind of what was behind the whole Obamacare thing, because most private insurance companies, their administrative costs were like in the 20s, and when you compare that to like Medicare, the administrative cost was
Mm-hmm.
like 3%, and then you wonder why, the costs are a lot higher on one side than the other.
Mm-hmm.
So, in that
Well, it's funny you
instance,
mentioned
kind of
Medicare,
the
though.
same thing. We'll be able to address that because there's no, if it was a single payer and the government was running it, there's no costs, there's no profit motive behind it. It's all about providing service. You know what I'm saying?
And that's a problem with the U.S. and the drug market. Because it's funny you talk about Medicare because a big difference between the U.S. and other countries is that the government actually negotiates with drug makers, and they negotiate down the cost of drugs.
Yep, and we can't.
But Congress created Medicare Part D, which pretty much covers your drug costs. So you have like hospital costs and everything else, but Part D of your Medicare covers your drug costs. Well, it specifically denied Medicare the right to use its power to negotiate drug prices.
Exactly.
So pretty much companies can charge whatever they want. Yep. And so that's a big reason why healthcare costs are going up. All I'm just saying that these things are affecting millennials. It's affecting us too, but guess what? We got good jobs already.
Yeah.
So it's it's whatever. And then not to mention doctors getting sued at every point, so they're afraid to get sued more so. I got friends with doctors, man. All they talk about or stress about is I have to cross every T and dot every I because I'm afraid I'm gonna get sued. And so what they do is they order like multiple tests. Even when they know when they're certain they know what the diagnosis is, they still order multiple tests. Well, that's obviously gonna drive up your medical bill, right? I had to purchase 5 more tests just to make sure I get the result that I think it is. And I know it is. Even though the first test may have said, this is what it is. Mm-hmm. I still go order 5 more tests just to make sure because I don't want you to sue me because of some misdiagnosis and whatnot. So that's driving them because people will sue you, which you can't blame them for the most part, but this country is so litigious that it's people just so readily able to sue somebody and whatnot. So that's not good. And then you have what is like expensive. So you have an expensive mix of treatments too, right? So you may get it kind of goes back with the other ones, but you get 2.5 times the number of MRIs, and you have like a lot more cesarean sections, things of that nature. The technology is growing and whatnot. So all I'm saying is all of these are the reasons that healthcare costs are going up, and it's something that needs to be addressed. And I think it can be easily addressed. So I thought this is a very interesting topic. A lot of people may not be interested in it, but it's going to have an effect at some point.
It already is. It already is affecting the economy. Yeah, because they're not.
But go ahead.
I was just going to say just because they're not able to put in, pick up where we left off at, because essentially as people retire, someone got to take their place and pick up that money, that spending of money, and it's not happening. And I guess the reason why I bring up buying homes, that's one metric that's easily trackable. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, 10 years ago they're buying way more houses. What's causing that? And then you look at well, wages are stagnant. The cost of education is going up, and and more loans.
All right, okay, great, right. I agree with all that, but seriously, what's the biggest proponent to motherfuckers not buying more houses? The collapse. After the collapse, banks got way more stringent on loans, and ain't nobody buying houses in cash. Not many people buying houses in cash, so you need a loan. So if you can't get a loan.
So you're acting like that big student loan payment that you have doesn't show up on that credit, and that's not going to affect your ability to get that loan.
Right.
Okay, that big student loan payment was there anyway. Like, these millennials not the first fucking generation to have student loan payment.
But they weren't as high as what they are now.
Are they double?
Yeah, but
you remember like we're saying they up. Right?
It's not.
Yeah, but student loans increased substantially over the years for the same reasons that the housing market increased. it was essentially to make education available to people, right? So, like, I don't know if you guys remember, like, the GI Bill, the Bill of Rights.
Mm-hmm.
It pretty much allows veterans to go to school. So, obviously education costs way back in the day, like in early 1900s, people actually paid for their education.
They could actually have like a hourly job, like wait tables and pay for.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was obviously a lot cheaper back then, but people paid for their education, and then the government stepped in because a lot of veterans went to war. They come back, and as an incentive to them, they did the GI Bill of Rights, and that allowed like 8 million veterans to go to school. All right, so then you had. So this is just the timeline of education in the government and lending and whatnot. So then in 1958, they had the National Defense Student Loan Program, and which extended again to civilians. Well, no, this wasn't to veterans. This was to civilians. They extended offerings of the GI Bill to civilians. So this is the government stepping in, giving people educational opportunities. Now slavery was over with. You got people complaining like, I don't make enough money. I can go back to school. Hey, I'm not gonna lie. The government stepped in. They said, "Okay, we'll give you an opportunity to go to school." They did that. I applaud them for that. So they introduced these bills. But then in 1970, I was reading that's when inflation became double digits, and then so as an economy and double digit inflation took hold, college tuition and fees climbed, and they unfortunately exceeded inflation. So because you're borrowing from the government, you're going to also have the effect of the economy that's going to influence what you borrow from the government, right? So the government will lend you that money, but obviously if unemployment goes up, if interest rates spike, if inflation goes up, that's also going to affect the money lent to the people. Because it's all coming from the I'll call it, quote unquote, the government fund, right? It's going to cost me more to lend you money because it's costing me more to hold this money. So that's why education cost is going up, and it's something that's kind of beyond the people necessarily. So we complain about, oh, well, why is Sallie Mae charging me so much and all this? Because Sallie Mae is a government agency. So why is so essentially we say Sallie Mae, Freddie Mac, we're essentially saying the government. Why is the government charging me so much to go to school? Well, these are the reasons why. It's all pegged on the economy.
So I'm gonna tell you my opinion on this like this. I agree. Inflation is gonna happen. It's gonna keep happening. Prices are going up. I'm just not 100% sold on the fact that because a millennial network is not where it was in our generation, that their quality of life is worse off. I got no more opinions on that.
So at the end of the day, the government has to take stances. Like for instance, they're like on your taxes, they actually give you more money if you're married as opposed to being single. Like as far as your deduction, and they're trying to, as far as in that instance, they're trying to dictate your behavior to get married so that you can get some benefit from it. So in that instance, I only bring that up because in this case, they have to find matrices to understand what's going on in the economy. And while it may not necessarily affect their everyday life, they may love their life. You know what I'm saying? Things may be good technically, but as far as like the actual economy is concerned, they want to know why we not like in these same conditions 20 years ago, we were humming at a lot different pace. What's keeping us back? And now in looking at it, they see that, hey, this segment of the population, which should be, getting married, having kids, buying homes, you know what I'm saying, and doing all that extra spending, hasn't quite done that yet in the same rate that generations past. So that's essentially what they're saying. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily that they have a bad life. It's just, the economy should be like everything we see now, the economy should be better, but it's not. Why is that? And the government and these resources.
And that's why Elizabeth Warren is passing that student debt forgiveness program that she's trying to. That's not going to work. I agree with it. It ain't gonna pass, but that's why because she's she's trying to get young people to start adulting more at a young age, and that's what's going to pick up the economy. But I do agree with Antoine on a lot of this. Is we can talk about all this government stuff and all this stuff that's just these systematic trends that we talk about. But at the end of the day, people need to shift with the times. If costs are rising, then you need to shift your mindset to be able to live in this changing economy. You know what I mean? So you can't have the excuse of I'm just a millennial. I want to do things when I want to do things and blah blah blah. You really have to think about, okay, it's more expensive to live, which means I need to do this and do that and whatnot. So Antoine's take is take the personal responsibility, make the changes you need to make, and do your due diligence and make it happen. No excuses. Which I am in total agreement with. It's going to be harder for them than it was for us and our parents and our grandparents. But in our own way, we did it. Our parents did it. Now they got to do it. And it's just you got to. Mm-hmm.
I was saying.
Let me preface that by saying that perspective is for those that have the means to do that. I am not talking about the single mother with 3 kids. 3 jobs and trying to take care of her household that has no time. I'm just talking about the people that have the means to educate themselves and do better. They need.
Yeah, and I guess the one thing I would say, a caveat to that, and I guess we can move on, is, but that is supposedly what our government is here to do, to find these problems and then address them. Like, for instance, the single payer for healthcare. We see healthcare is getting out of whack. Single payer is a way to address that. We should start.
I'm sorry. Did you say that it's the government's job to do what?
Researching that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's the government's job to do what?
To analyze what's going on in the economy and fix those problems. Like for instance, we see that there's issues with education costs out of whack. How can we address that? We see there's issues with healthcare costs. How can we address that? That's their job. That is the government's job, to dictate behavior. And they see that this part of, just like they did in the financial crisis, they passed those laws, those Dodd-Frank laws. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to let that happen again. So, for all intents and purposes, they need to be looking at it. They need, this type of information needs to be available. But now it's the government and Congress and all these state legislatures to use this information to try to, make things better.
Well, I think that the government is really trying to attack unemployment because unemployment is a big government cost, to paying benefits and whatnot. But the problem
right now, unemployment is at like 3.9%, baby.
Right.
Now it is, yeah. But you know why? Because I said Duke University Hospital, they have 900 beds but 1,300 billing clerks. That's why. It's meaningless jobs. Don't get me wrong. I'm not against it. But then if we complain about healthcare costs going up, well, it's kind of like you can either have your cake or you can't have your cake and eat it too. We're gonna give you more jobs, but it's gonna hit you somewhere else.
Well,
you know what I mean? Now I'd rather just have a higher bill than it's almost like you, me, Antoine, all of us, like we're footing the cost of them creating all these jobs for people because now our healthcare costs are going up. But it's at the expense
that's how healthcare has always been. Like even insurance, like our premiums would go up to help pay for those times when people would use those services and not have insurance. Someone got to pay for it. We still paying for it.
Yeah.
That's why it was like it makes sense to have some type of insurance, even if it is through the government, so that everyone will have insurance. Because no matter what, you are going to pay for it. The only thing this is going to do is help you.
Pretty much.
But
the
messaging.
Who's going to foot the bill?
The messaging on this is never good. The people that are against all these moves always message game is way better than the people on the side of trying to do what's right for the masses, so to speak.
Right. Yeah.
But anyway,
all right. Enough about that.
I think we covered everything we could on that. Now I guess to the fun part of the episode. Get to do a little bit of gloating, eat a little bit of crow, and give a little bit of analysis on what we see coming up in the future. I guess we go ahead and just knock out the Game of Thrones finale. I know my man G really doesn't want to talk about this.
Yeah. Hey, but honestly, man, I have promised. I was talking to some friends about this actually yesterday. I'm gonna binge watch Game of Thrones, man. I'm gonna catch up.
That's gonna be a while, but it's not bad, man.
I
You enjoy it.
I made it to season 3, so I got started season 4, and I'm gonna get through it, man, because I feel like I'm the only person that's left out. You know, so everybody talks about it, so I'm gonna catch up on it, man.
Gotcha. But with that said, I guess we can start on the good part of our analysis from 2 weeks ago. Tony, you hit it on the head as far as Sansa.
I tend to do that. I tend to be doing
You hit it on the head. She
Okay.
became the queen of the North.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'll give you that one, baby.
The gift and the curse being right so much.
I guess it. I also kind of called that Arya was gonna go out west. She did her thing. With that said, I guess I'll go ahead and pass it over to you and just give you your thoughts on what you thought on the finale, and I guess even season 8 as a whole.
Everybody has had time to digest it, and it's kind of like I said on the left when I thought that Game of Thrones, the second to last episode, had set everybody up for a great disappointment or something we didn't see coming. Unfortunately, we didn't get something that we didn't see coming, and because of that, it just kind of felt like a letdown. Right? It kind of felt very lazy. I don't say lazy writing, but it just kind of felt lazy.
I mean, a lot of people say that though, especially after season 6.
Yeah, after the Starbucks came out and then the water bottle, everything. Seriously, like is nobody checking the set right now? But just from a writing standpoint, I thought that you had more than enough ammunition to make the last episode something thought-provoking, right? You could have left the last episode, you could have left people thinking, like wanting another season. I don't think the last episode made anybody that watches Game of Thrones religiously want another season. Like, I was just like, it just ended.
Are you serious?
For me, it just ended. Like, I get it. At the end of it, the Starks run everything. That's exactly what happened.
I will say this though. I did hear, and I think I saw this on something that they foresee spinoffs from
which is fine. Which is fine. I'm just saying. From the last episode, I had no desire to continue the investment, and I didn't feel like the investment was fulfilled. Personally, I didn't feel like those years of Game of Thrones, and then you set me up for, what was it, 6 episodes? 6 episodes this year, or maybe 7? And that's all you gave me. And then this was the last one. And on the last one, Bran becomes the king, which I don't have a problem with Bran becoming. Yeah, Bran the Broken is the king. So you promoting this whole democratic, notion that we're going to choose our kings. Great, I get it. But give me, at least re-instill in me what Bran's power is, other than some stoic dude that can control pets.
Well, he knows all the past. So
right,
Tyrion said everything.
I get it.
Tyrion said it all in his little analogy about him knowing the whole path.
He did. I got it. Here's the thing. I wasn't overly upset that Bran was the king. I just didn't like how they decorated it. I just didn't like I felt like they could have decorated it better, right?
I don't know.
And just the overall storyline of the last episode, I felt like they could have decorated that more.
Well,
yeah.
I guess my take on it. I don't know if it was lazy writing, but it was definitely they felt like they had to do a lot in a short period of time. and I guess in sort of in a way, we were kind of given a bill of goods in the sense that the way they were couching the 6 episodes was, well, we're basically gonna get a movie every week, and why it was longer, it didn't feel like I got more per se.
Right. Yeah.
With that said, the final episode, it was kind of telling. You thought you had a feeling that Danny was gonna get killed. I didn't really get none out of Drogon melting the throne.
I got it. I got that. No, I got that.
I got it, but I don't understand how a dragon would get that.
Because I got it from the standpoint of the dragon had a parental, a maternal type child-like relationship with Danny. So Danny's dead, right? And he knew her whole obsession was this damn throne, which got her killed. Now, what I don't know, what I assumed was, can the dragons kill a Targaryen?
Well, they said that Targaryens are technically fireproof.
No. Can it? But my question is, would a dragon kill a Targaryen? Because that would explain why the dragon didn't kill Jon Snow after he realized he just killed him.
Exactly.
Right?
That's what it was.
To get his frustration out, he just burned the fucking throne.
Because if you remember, right before it happened, out of nowhere, that nigga just shook off the snow and let him in.
Yeah, and you just let him in, like, go ahead, right? Because I'm not about to kill you. I get it, right?
So that's what I took. It was that blood that he sent, so smelled that.
That's what I took from it. I was like, oh, he's doing it because she basically risked her life and lost her life fucking around with this throne. Like, you lost yourself, you lost who you was, and I followed your ass, and I killed a whole bunch of people. But
I guess that's looking glass half full at the intelligence of the dragons. While they have to have some level of intelligence, I don't know if it would reach to that level in which he would know.
But that's kind of arrogant, right? Like, as a human, the human arrogance to believe that anything that's not a human being is not as smart as us.
But they haven't shown that in the show.
Okay.
They haven't shown that level of intelligence in the show. They're intelligent, but they haven't shown that level of intelligence where they didn't need someone to tell them, Drakkar. You know what I'm saying? Oh, fuck some shit up. Yeah. Or I'm hungry. I'm going to eat and kill whatever I want.
A curious topic for another day is how much influence how much influence we put on actual verbal communication and correlate that to intelligence. Because I think a lot of times we look at pets like that, or animals like that, like, you're obviously not as smart as me because you can't talk to me, or you don't talk to me with words. So I can't see exactly how you're thinking. All right? And maybe we're just not paying attention. Maybe we go back and we'll see exactly how smart they were. Mm-hmm. Right? I don't know, but either way, right.
Well, again, I guess
was whack. At the end of the day, the episode was whack.
Yeah, I was about to say. At the end of the day, I was disappointed in the end. I wanted my man Jon Snow to ascend to the throne. I could care less about Grey Worm and his issues. Like, dude, he's the rightful heir. You know that now.
Then if Jon Snow gonna go to the north, man, at least put that man on a throne. Like, you could have ended the show with his ass on the throne of the wildness. Like,
well, you know that. So what was that dude? I think his name was Castor. That was another Castor, not the one with the daughters and the babies, but like in that second year, maybe third year, he was the king of the Norfolk. Essentially, I feel like that's what's about to happen.
Right, but that should have happened. If this is the last episode, that should have happened.
I mean, you got to leave something to the imagination.
For what?
I mean,
what? It's the last show.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you don't want to spell it out completely for people. You want to leave something to the imagination. And in that instance, because there's no need for him to go north with those people. There was no need for him to leave the castle. You know what I'm saying? Like
other than him take that goddamn throne.
So
fucking take the throne. Like show him sitting on the throne. Fuck. Something.
But
everybody wants Jon Snow to be a king.
Yeah.
Right or wrong. Everybody watching that show wanted Jon Snow to be a goddamn king. Make Jon Snow a goddamn king. I don't give a fuck what it is. Just make him a goddamn king, make people happy. Everybody wants Arya to kill somebody. So you know what? When she on that fucking boat, I would have been like, oh shit, if she'd have turned around and the many-faced guy would have been behind her. And like, you ready for your next journey.
You doing a lot.
Like, give me something. Give me something to be like, oh shit, I want to see what happened in the West. Oh shit, I want to see what happens when Jon Snow takes the throne of the North. Oh shit, I want to see what Sansa's gonna do. I don't give a shit. I knew Sansa was gonna be queen of the North. Jon is in white snow walking with giants and shit back to the woods, and Arya is on a goddamn boat. What the fuck?
But I guess your boy, what's your boy ever the sellsword the whole time? What his name? Bronn? Was it Bronn?
Who are you talking about? Bran the Broken?
No, Bronn, like the guy that was supposed to kill Jaime and Tyrion, but that was their boy too.
Oh, yeah. So Bronn, yeah.
Bronn finally got his castle though.
Yeah, he got his castle. He came up.
I know my man. He worked hard for that fucking castle, man, and then became what, keeper of corn. So
yeah.
I like that.
All that, and you become the keeper of corn. Yeah,
I like that. And,
talking about, we need more titty balls.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I guess the one thing I did like about it is I did like seeing that the Starks kids ended up on top. That was one thing I liked.
Cool. That was cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Good.
With that
said,
we
can move on because you've been quiet too long.
Yeah, I was just about to say. With that said, unless you had anything else.
I tell you what.
With that said, moving on.
The next time we talk about Game of Thrones, we won't be ready for y'all ass.
Well, they do have a prequel coming up in the future.
Is it really that good though, man? Like, is it really that good? Was it that good?
I mean, the first 6 seasons were very good.
The series was that good.
Yeah, the first 6 seasons.
The ending just was right.
Is it worth me binge watching?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, if you go, I mean, it's the summertime, man.
I mean, I got
there's nothing gonna be on TV.
Of my life to it. Yeah. I know it's gonna take me 2 years to get through it, but is it worth 2 years of my life?
Like we'll talk, especially the rest of the summer once the NBA is done. You got about 2 months where there's really nothing gonna be on TV.
Okay, well,
so that's easily two episodes every other day, 2-3 episodes every other day.
Oh, okay, I can do that, man. I can do that.
And you know what I'm saying, before you know it, 3 weeks later, you basically halfway through.
I know some people. I know some people told me they actually rewatched all of it. Like they saw it and rewatched it.
I did. I
didn't do that. I may eventually do that, but I haven't done it.
No, I rewatched all of it.
At any rate, like I said, we're gonna recap the conference finals from the NBA, from the National Basketball Association. We all did pick Golden State, so that was the good side. On the bad side, though, we all picked the Bucks.
Fuck them Bucks.
We all picked the Bucks.
I picked them not giving shit. So,
matter of fact, Tony, you picked the fucking sweep.
Yeah, I probably did.
You picked the sweep. With that said, the goddamn Toronto Raptors came through with the dub. They won in 6. They won in 5, right? I think they won in 5. I don't.
They won in 5.
They lost the first 2, right?
No, they lost the first one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so they won in 6.
They lost the first 2.
They won the first 2.
Lost the first 2. That's why I was calling this week.
They did lose the first 2, and then they ran 4 off. That's right. So they won in 6. So, I mean, y'all got any takes on that? I mean,
on the Bucks and the Raptors series.
Yeah, the Raptor and the Bucks series.
Well, I think Giannis is overrated.
Well, we already knew he didn't have a jumper.
Well, I mean, he doesn't have but we all knew that before. But I still thought he was still pretty good even without a spectacular jumper. But he's overrated, bro. He's overrated, and he got exposed.
In what aspect? Overrated in what aspect?
He's not as mentally tough as I thought he was. Look, let me tell you something. Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, Giannis, I'll put them all in that same. They will never be superstars ever.
Ooh,
you know why?
Giannis
it's the same reason. It's the same reason that Kevin Durant will never lead his team to an NBA final. His own team.
I think it's NBA final. I think it's different.
No, he's different. No, he will never. He will never be a superstar. Okay.
So here's my take on Giannis. Right. I saw mental immaturity. I will give you that. I did. But it was no more different than the mental immaturity you saw from LeBron when he first got to the league and took a trash team to the finals or to deep in the playoffs. In certain moments, he did not understand that in this moment, I cannot pass this ball. I have to make this shot. I didn't think he had a good grasp of when his team needed him to take over the game. And that's something that comes, but that is not that's something that comes with time sometimes. Like sometimes superstars need, sometimes superstars need experience to understand in this ebb or flow of this game, it's crucial for me to take over.
I don't understand that. I don't understand that statement because I feel like in the moment, it's like, okay, my team needs me. I don't think you need experience to know that your team needs you. It's like, okay, I am obviously the superstar. I'm the leader of my team. Okay. We are down. We're in a slump. We've been losing 2 and 3 games straight. My team needs me. I need to take shots. You don't need experience to know that. You know what I mean?
Okay, it may be an excuse, but I'm looking at it from the standpoint of, I'm looking at it from momentum and then just being down. You can be down with 7 minutes left in the game, right? Your team might necessarily need you to make that basket. You need to get some offense going, but your team might not need you to make a basket. If Kawhi Leonard just went down 2 possessions ahead and scored, and then they stopped y'all on a possession, and then they go back down the field and pop a 3, right? And now they're up by 2 with 4 minutes left in the game. That is a momentum shift. Your team needs you to take over the game. You have to score. Now, I think those moments are something that needs to be identified through experience. That doesn't just come to everybody.
But I don't think Giannis was really the problem. I think the problem was really Middleton didn't step up and do his Robin duties. Yeah. Middleton had Robin duties. He didn't do it. Now, don't get me wrong. Giannis wasn't. Y'all
was talking cash money about Middleton. Y'all was like, he's been cash money.
He's been cash money all year. He's been cash money all year, and now you picked the last series of this season to not be cash money. Now they've been Batman and Robin all year, which is why they had the best record in the NBA. They were picked to go to the finals and win it because of those two. It wasn't just because of Giannis. It was because of Giannis and Middleton. Giannis had his Robin, and they had enough support and cash to definitely beat the Raptors. And people were picking them to beat Golden State in the finals.
They
had what they needed.
Here's my only question for you. What up? Anybody on the Toronto Raptors stop Giannis from getting to the basket anymore?
I think Kawhi Leonard can.
I don't think so. Not as he in a pinch.
They did though. That's what happened. They double teamed.
It kind of looked like he got passed. It looked like he got passed.
You said passive?
Sometimes he did.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, he was passive. Don't get me wrong. He was not Batman, bro. He got very passive. A part of it was his problem, but they were double teaming him too, though. So they forced him to kick it out. They said Giannis is not going to beat us. We're going to make one of those other guys beat us. They accomplished that. He gave the ball up, and they won hitting the shots. You know, George Hill, that's my boy. I like him, man. He had a good series, but other than him, he did. Middleton did not. He didn't have a good series. None of them, man. None of them. So they deserve to lose. Whatever. Now we in the finals. We got the Raptors and Golden State.
Yep.
Let's talk about that.
And Golden State is already down 1.
Man,
Game 2
let me tell you
happening
something.
tonight.
I'm still on the notion of until you beat the motherfucker, I ain't rooting against it. I don't think I'm still going for Golden State. 2 reasons. Because 1, they're the champ. And 2, I don't care what Drake do. Drake is rooting for Toronto, so they not gonna win. It's just what it is. Like that motherfucker cursed for real. He is. He like Tom Joyner. It's him and Tom Joyner.
Where's Tom Joyner curse? What's that curse?
Oh man, so Tom Joyner is like the old Drake. Like if he root for you, your team fucking lose.
Oh, okay, I got you.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, man. See, I'm in the middle. I be listening to Tom Joyner and I listen to Drake. I do all that, so I know both them motherfuckers is.
Well, maybe you the reason. Maybe you the curse then. You know?
Nah.
Maybe you stopped listening to him. You know?
I did. I stopped listening to Tom Joyner. I didn't know about Drake.
Oh, okay.
Let me tell you something. I stopped listening to Tom Joyner when he rooted for the Saints in that goddamn game, and I was like, man. That mother. After that shit, I was like, this no, no.
Gotcha.
Well, I personally, I think the Raptors. I picked the Raptors to win, and this is contingent upon them doing what they need to do to win this game, which is obvious. I think. Let me tell you, I've always said this: Siakam is the X factor. If he has a good series, they're going to win. Mm-hmm. They're going to, and if KD doesn't come back, honestly, I think if KD comes back, it don't even matter because I don't think KD's going to come back. If he does come back,
he's going to be hobbled.
I don't wish this on him. He may either re-injure himself or he's going to be like really tending to that quote unquote calf muscle injury, which may not actually be a calf muscle. He actually may be injured. Yeah. Like they don't think he may even come back. So,
here's my thing about Siakam. Siakam is on the precipice of he either might be a growing all-star or he had a fluke game 1, right? If he can sustain what he did in game 1, which is highly unlikely for the rest of this, man,
you know why I say that? You know why?
Please tell me.
Because he's been doing this actually for a long time now. Like I know this
when
is the first season.
You've been dropping 32 points in a game.
What I would say
don't
is
get me wrong. Don't
20
get me wrong.
points. I think we can kind of say 20. Because Kawhi didn't really show up in the first game, so he just basically picked up for Kawhi.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Siakam is good. Siakam is good for 20 a night, which is all they really need from him. You know, Kawhi had the great.
Here's the problem. Let's be completely honest. Kawhi is hurt. Mm-hmm. Kawhi is hurt. Yeah, Kawhi is hurt, and he's not about to get unhurt the rest of this goddamn series. So they could cover that shit up however they want.
They got sports medicine for that, bro.
Man, you can have all they got drugs in the world. I'm looking at the eye test.
He got 2 years. He got 2 months to recover. He got 3 months to recover after this, baby. He good.
Yeah, but that's a Lakers statement, right? I'm talking about this final. He is not 100%. So if the Siakam is not stepping up like he did in game 1, now don't get me wrong, their defense was fucking ridiculous. Like their defense was on point. Like I have not seen people shut.
Can I give you my synopsis right quick, bro? So let me tell you what, Toronto can win the series if they do this. If Siakam, it gives them at least 20 a night. They need to. Danny Green and Kyle Lowry, they just need to step up. They need to step up. They need to get at least 15 each from those two a night. If they can do that, and here's the caveat: I think Van Vliet and Norm Powell, they need to play them more. They need to play those two more. If they play Van Vliet and Norman Powell more, I think they're gonna win.
Now here's my issue with all that. All that shit sounds good, but here's the reason why people can't stand Golden State, right? Because all that shit could happen, and Golden State could be down by 10 for the whole goddamn game. And in 30 seconds, between Clay and Steph, it could be up by 1 in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So all that shit could happen if Clay and Steph would have made maybe a quarter more of their fucking 3-point shots that they threw up. It's a different game.
Yeah, well, still, that was good defense.
But if Toronto makes their shots, then it doesn't matter. It matters.
That's not matching because they're not shooting.
Kawhi didn't have a great game.
I guess we'll sell that tonight. We'll see if it was a fluke.
We'll sell it tonight.
We'll see.
I can't wait for this game tonight.
Man, let's be honest. Their three-headed monster did not play well. Draymond, Clay, or Steph did not play well. So Steph did play well. Steph played well at the end. Steph played well in the first quarter and the fourth quarter.
Steph had a good game. I don't know why the coach kept him out the game for so long at the end of the game. I noticed he wasn't playing. I'm like, Steph. I think Steph ended with like 34, 36 points for the game, and he didn't. But
that's Steph, right? Like that's easy. Like I don't know. I'm a Steph Curry fan. Like I believe Steph Curry is the peak, right? I think if those three guys play like they need to play, I don't think Toronto could win. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, but maybe they didn't play the way they played because Toronto played good defense on them.
True. And you know what? I'm not going to take that. That's very possible.
But I would say that's what Jalen Rose's opinion as far as essentially the matchup essentially makes Green irrelevant.
Dictated that.
Yeah. And like Green is irrelevant in this one because they have too many bodies to throw at him. So it's all about, and they're long and athletic, so they can.
But the crazy thing is, they didn't have to throw many people. See, y'all can shut him down.
Yeah, but I mean,
thank you.
Exactly.
And he abused them. And he abused them on the offensive side. I was like, God damn.
Exactly. Yep. So essentially, they eliminated one of the biggest weapons they had in the Western Conference Final, which one would think they'll be leaning on in the championship series with KD being out.
Right.
You think they're gonna get anything out of Boogie?
Nope.
I think he's they're not gonna get anything out of him. He does. You know what's funny? He doesn't even really fit into that system too well. Like he doesn't play like Golden State when he's in.
Nah, so, I think he fits well in their half court system. The problem is they got burned on transition defense. He don't fit well in that shit at all.
Right, yeah.
His lazy ass ain't running down that court fast enough. I'm just being real.
That man is a world-class athlete, Tony.
Cool. Good for him. First off, I ain't got no love. I ain't got no love for Tony anyway. This motherfucker bounced out.
Did you hear the sarcasm out of his boyfriend?
You know what I'm saying? Like, Boogie is Boogie. Good. Much success to him. I'm just saying, it is what it is. His ass ain't about to be running down that court like that like he needs.
Yeah, he still ain't 100. So I mean, even with that, he's lagging.
Right.
So I mean,
he was 100.
Even at 100. Even at 100, he would still be a hindrance, and he ain't even 100. So his time on the floor is going to be limited.
He didn't play a bad game. Well, I just don't think he necessarily helped them either.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, so
look, man, I want to say one thing about this series is, I have mixed feelings about it because actually I really do want the Raptors to win, but I really did like the Raptors coach last year, who the Raptors let go, Dwayne Casey.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember him. I don't like the way they handle him. I hate that. And so it's like now they got this new dude, Nick Nurse, who I guess he's a good coach, but I mean. You got arguably one of the best players, he is one of the best players in the NBA, on top of the team he already had. It's like, dude, you should make it to the NBA Finals. So, and I'm not taking anything against Nick Nurse, but I don't like the way the organization handled Dwayne Casey.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll agree with you that they
I
handle
agree with
Casey wrong. Nick Nurse has to be he a good coach. Like if you look at how Toronto managed these series,
bro. If Dwayne Casey had the same team, I kind of give them maybe a little edge. You know, unfortunately, Dwayne Casey had to deal with LeBron. Like,
okay,
yeah, DeRon, and then he had that other guy. What is it? DeRozan?
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's got a better DeMar Rosen and Kawhi Leonard, so he upgraded DeMar Rosen, and you don't have LeBron anymore.
I mean, I get your point. Here's my thing.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
You know what? Get a man another shot. Give him another shot on another team.
Yeah, like you had no reason to let him go.
Yeah, in Detroit.
Well, no, that ain't cool because Detroit ain't Toronto.
Same argument about Steve Kerr, right? I think it's egregious that Mark Jackson is not a head coach in the NBA right now.
Well,
wait, who?
Mark Jackson.
Oh, absolutely.
But at the same time, I think Steve Kerr has shown enough to be like, nah, he's a good coach.
Nah, let me tell you what happened, bro. Let me tell you what happened with Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr, if let's say so that was his head coaching debut, right? With the Warriors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now let's say his first job was with any other team.
Mm-hmm.
He would not have the success. He inherited.
I agree.
He inherited Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. He inherited them. Mark Jackson made it.
Here's why I say Steve Kerr is a good coach. And follow me on this, right?
He is a good coach.
But follow me on this. Well, I think he's a really good coach. With that staff, just follow me where I'm going. Golden State has how many rings they got?
3.
4 now.
Yeah.
No, 3 or 4? Let me ask y'all something.
I think 3.
Let me ask y'all something.
2 with KD and then 1 without him, so 3.
All right, so let me ask y'all something. If the NBA somehow took the third quarter completely out of the game, would Golden State have any of those rings?
I mean,
probably not.
With KD, the last 2 years.
KD only accounts for. I mean, okay. But even with KD,
according to your theory, they actually wouldn't have made it past Portland if they take the third quarter out. So, yeah.
Okay. So my point is this: because third quarter is right after the half is when you make coaching adjustments, right? A lot of that is based on the adjustments Steve Kerr made based on what he saw. And I'm going to be honest with you, I have never seen a team win so much based on what happens in the third quarter. Like, for some reason, you could be dominating Golden State, and then the third quarter comes, and it's a totally different fucking game. And
yeah, that's good coaching. That's good coaching.
That's good coaching. Like, that's Steve Kerr. I'm not saying he's the only reason, but he shows his resume in those third quarters.
When you have the greatest backcourt of all time at your fingertips, it's easy to make those adjustments. Is what I'm saying.
Easier.
Give that same team to Mark Jackson. Give that same team to Mark Jackson.
You cannot say for sure he would make those third quarter adjustments.
That's what I'm saying. He inherited.
But what I'm telling you is, I'm comparing Mark Jackson and Steve Kerr to saying Saban would make those third quarter adjustments. Les Miles
want to know what I really
might
want?
not.
You know what I want to
Les
really
Miles might not. I'm just saying.
I think the Lakers should have hired Mark Jackson as their head coach, and I think they're obviously going to get another superstar, maybe 2. This would have been perfect for Mark Jackson. Forget Golden State. Go to the Lakers, get your other 2 superstars, go get about 3-4 more rings right now. That's what should have happened with Mark Jackson. He definitely deserves a head coach.
Who's the head coach in New York?
For who?
New York? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
That would be a good fit for Mark.
But I think he knew though.
Mark Jackson was in New York, wasn't he?
I mean, as a player.
Okay, maybe he was.
As a player, he was.
But he wasn't a coach though. That's why I said it's a good fit if you go to New York.
No, because he's just going to stifle in New York.
Well, so I guess to be quite honest with you guys, if we're being honest, I think one of the reasons why. So all the California teams are probably the best for him because apparently he has a church in LA that he wants to lead every Sunday. So that was one of the issues that he was having with the Golden State team. Was he was going back and forth so much.
Oh, well, he got to make sacrifices there, man.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. So that I think that's what's holding him back right now. Like, cause he is like a minister, and he has like a church in LA, and he would fly down back and forth a lot. And I guess that, and now all the other teams know that that's going to kind of be a part of it. So the LA teams would probably be the best fit. But I mean, he's not going to take Doc's job, and I guess LA. I guess the Lakers just
that's Jason Kidd's job. That's his job
at this point.
Well, Jason Kidd is an assistant, so.
But it'll be his in about a year or two, year and a half.
Year and a half.
It'll be his
job.
Now, the kid should have been the head coach also in LA. I don't know why they made him an assistant, but
he hasn't had any success.
Was he a head coach before?
Yeah, but he hasn't had any.
Head coach in Brooklyn, right?
Yeah, he was at Brooklyn, then he was in
that was
Milwaukee.
Brooklyn. He's got LeBron James now.
Yeah, so I give you that. I give you that. Team. I can give you that, but I'm just saying.
Again, I get it.
He hasn't had any success.
Bro, Tyronn Lue won the finals.
Yeah,
Tyronn Lue. You mean tell me? Come on, man.
Yeah. So, and in that instance, they just didn't want to give him what he wanted. He wanted a 5-year deal, like every other contemporary, and he wasn't going to take less.
He should have took 1 or 2 years. He was going to win the finals because he was going to have LeBron James and 2 more superstars, and then they were going to extend his contract.
Well,
so it's like, don't be greedy.
Well, I mean, but at the same time, people of less ilk than him. He's a championship coach, getting 5-year deals. He's a championship coach. So, in that instance, he does come to the table a little more. Now, Frank Vogel, on the other hand, yeah, what I'm saying? You kind of get what you can get. But, Tyronn Lue, for better or worse, even if it is depending on the circumstance, because he was in Cleveland, he is a championship coach. He has that on his
right.
Just kind of like how you get nominated for a Grammy and everything goes up. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess. Well, at the end of the day, bro, I picked Toronto to win the final. I think they're going to win tonight. I have Toronto in 6.
I'm going 7.
I got Golden State in 6.
Ooh, hey. Okay.
You say Golden State in 6, Tony?
Yep, they're going to close it out at the Oracle.
Yeah, they got to, baby. That's the last game. That'll be the last game.
Yeah, that's what I got.
All right. With that said, last topic. I guess it'll be a quick one. Last night.
This is an emotional topic for me, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, last night, one of the pillars, or quote-unquote pillars, in the heavyweight division, Anthony Joshua, took an ass whooping from a no-name contender, Andy Ruiz. We go ahead and I open that up to the floor because I know my man G want to talk about that. You talked about it earlier. You was like, "Can we talk about that?" All right, man. Throw it out.
Anyway, Anthony Joshua took black people back 50 years. All right.
God damn, there you go.
Let me just start out with that. He just set us back 50 years, man. But anyway, just kidding. But first of all, let me say this. Literally no one expected that to happen. All right. And a lot of people lost money last night. So it ain't just me that's mad. And I'm mad for different reasons. I didn't even bet on the game. Right. Can you imagine how much money was lost last night? Yeah. And if you did bet on Andy Ruiz, do you know how much money you made?
Yeah.
Damn. But I mean, it's just I want to know. I want to find that one person who betted on Andy Ruiz. I'll tell you that.
Well, I mean, really, if he, I think we said earlier we think he's of Mexican descent. I'm sure a lot of them did.
Well, he's Mexican, yeah.
So I'm sure.
I'm pretty sure a lot of Mexicans voted. Yeah, but they got paid. So Mexico, they increased the tariff. So so Trump imposed the tariff on them. but guess who won at the end of the day? They made up for that 5%.
Matter of fact, that's why he whooped his ass. He was like, "Hey, we're gonna show you boys over here what we're gonna do to y'all."
Oh, okay, you're gonna increase the tariffs, huh? All right, I got you. Yep, Mexico won. The country of Mexico won last night.
But the funny thing, I think the funny thing I took from it was, he wasn't prepared, because I saw a little bit of it, and essentially, man, I don't think he respected Andy, because
no, it's twofold. See, first of all, he wasn't. Hold on one second, see, he wasn't prepared. I don't think he was prepared. It's three things really. Number one, he wasn't prepared because, I mean, who is Andy? Although Andy Ruiz had a good record, we all know he probably had some, that his opponents probably weren't that skilled. Number two, so he was a replacement. I don't even know this. Andy Ruiz was a late replacement for a guy named Gerald Miller, who tested positive for 3 banned substances. So, I think Joshua may have thought, okay, well, whatever, and just told somebody late. And then, obviously, if you've been a replacement for someone else, you're probably not the box office hit that they would expect it. No. Which goes back to the first point. It's like, okay, this is an easy win for me, obviously. And that was, I
guess what even helped to that was when he dropped him in the third round. That I think that's what, to me, I felt like he didn't respect him, because he went in there too wild.
When I see a fighter like Anthony Joshua get dropped in the third round, this is not about the other fighter. Joshua wasn't conditioned. He was tired, and he looked tired, So first of all, my third point was Joshua is a heavyweight. He's a true heavyweight, and the way he swings, he's actually not that skilled of a fighter. He's just like Deontay Wilder. He's a brute force. That's what he is.
I think just like Deontay is a little better though.
You think Deontay's better than Joshua?
Yeah,
based on what I saw last night. But I don't know. I think Joshua is more skilled than Deontay. I do. I kind of agree. I think he underestimated Ruiz in his fight. But we missing the whole thing. This ain't got nothing to do with Joshua. This ain't got nothing to do with Ruiz. Drake is the reason why this motherfucker lost. I'm trying to tell y'all.
The curse is real.
The curse is fucking real. Y'all don't understand. There's no way Joshua should have lost to Andy Ruiz Jr., the replacement that looked like the Mexican butterbean, as my man Stephen A. put it.
What's his name? Klitschko?
Yeah.
Joshua
one of them, right? I'm telling you, this is all Drake. This is Drake. Drake did this.
I guess my
you need to stop going to the Raptors game.
You need to stop rooting for shit. Just stop rooting for anything. Keep your shit to yourself.
You already said it. He wasn't prepared, but I guess I looked at it. So 2 points, real quickly. Number one, in the third round when he dropped Andy, you know what I'm saying? He didn't show that professional. He didn't show the skill, knowing that this is probably when it's the most dangerous.
Let me take him out.
Yeah, the most dangerous. And he was trying to take him out, and the boy caught him, and that was it from there. And my second point, once he caught him and saw that, he does bleed, as the saying go. You know what I'm saying? It's I don't know if y'all, hey, I know G, you remember this shit, man. You could be better than a motherfucker on the football field, but once you let them little motherfuckers realize they can play with you, it's a hard fucking fight now. You know what I'm saying? Even if they ain't, they know they ain't better than you, but now they believe, over with. And that's essentially what happened. At that point, he realized, I got him. He don't want to fight.
Right. Yeah. Man, this was an atrocious fight. And the first thing I thought about when I saw the results of the fight, because I didn't even really see the fight, but I saw it afterwards. And I was thinking, like, what fight was there was actually probably 2 or 3 fights in heavyweight history that was worse than this fight, right? And because I was looking at, okay, what other notable heavyweight upsets happened in the history of boxing? And I can think of 3. Now, let me know if you disagree. Go ahead. I'll tell you what. You guys give me 3 upsets that think were worse than this.
Buster Tyson.
Well, Buster was solid, though, man. I think he was
I
top
don't give
10.
a fuck if he was solid. Ain't nobody thought that motherfucker was about to go in that ring.
It was an upset, but I feel like Buster was a top 10 contender though.
I feel like the Evander Tyson was different. Like that was a good fight. Like, oh shit, I don't know. Buster Douglas was supposed to get his ass whipped.
True.
Thank you.
True.
Thank you.
But at the same time,
I don't care.
But at the same time, Buster, if I'm not mistaken, was a top 10 contender. I'm pretty sure this Ruiz guy is in the top 10.
Be Mike Tyson.
Yeah, I mean, but Ruiz, but at the same time, if you I'm pretty sure this Andy guy is in the top 10 contender. He was a fill-in.
Which tells you how much people value top 10.
33-1.
And he was a fill-in, man.
He was 33-1.
Like they don't usually backdoor fill-in with someone that's good. Put it like that.
Have it. Being a top 10 in the heavyweight boxing arena don't really mean much to
I'm not going to argue that.
To regular boxing fans. Because you can't name the other nine. Now, I would say top 4. And I'm talking about when heavyweight boxing is popping. When it's popping, you probably can name the top 4 boxers, right? I can't remember a time when you could actually name the top 10 boxers. So, yeah, Buster Douglas might have been in the top. Andy Ruiz might have been in the top 10. It didn't matter. They scrubbed compared to the names you know.
They probably got 10 heavyweight boxers in the world, and he may be top 10.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Right. Now, let me tell you why I think this is a good thing that happened, that he lost, right? Because now I think Ruiz is going to fight Wilder. Wilder's going to take all them belts. And Wilder is going to take this fight. That's Joshua didn't want to fight Wilder.
They already have an immediate rematch happening probably later this year in the UK. So
that's Ruiz. I don't like how Joshua is ducking. Like, the fight everybody wants.
Joshua ain't ducking. They're going to have another fight in the UK later this year. So I'm telling you, it's going to be a rematch. And ain't going to be any other fights before that. They have a rematch in the UK.
That's what I'm trying to say. Fuck this Ruiz shit. Why haven't we seen Wilder versus Joshua yet?
Well, they got two different
the other
camps.
part of that is I'm mad because Wilder's frustrated. I don't know if y'all read Wilder's text. He said he wasn't a true champion. His whole career was consisted of lies, contradictions, and gifts, facts, and now we know who was running for who. Now, the problem, I will be frustrated because now Wilder is not going to get the payday, probably, that he expected with this loss to Ruiz. Because, he probably made people still want to see Joshua and Wilder. People still want to see it.
Because he's still a stud. He can come back and win. He's still a stud.
And don't get me wrong, bro. In this rematch, he may knock him out in the first round. Like, he's going to knock Ruiz out in the first round, probably.
Well, he's going to be motivated. We'll see.
He said, it's going to be a different Joshua. Well, now
if I'm Wilder, I'm pissed off because now I got to wait even longer.
Yeah.
Now I got to wait for you to do this bullshit rematch to get in the ring with you when you've been ducking already.
They got to have it. Well, actually, the rematch works in Wilder's favor because if he beats him, now he ups his stock back. Because people still think it was a fluke. Like, be honest. Has this really taken away from what you thought of Joshua? Like, this is what we think. We think he was just unconditioned. No, it doesn't. Like, he's still one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. And he's still a great heavyweight now.
He's maybe not of all time, but today. Now, but of all time,
he's a great one now.
But today, this did not
right?
affect his shot. I think that he just wasn't ready. He wasn't prepared for himself. I feel like he beat himself. I don't think.
At the end of the day, I want to see Wilder Joshua. I don't give a fuck about none of that other shit. And the fact that has not happened yet, based on the track record of boxing, based on what boxing is right now, you saw the numbers Floyd did before he walked away. So that momentum dies every day that he walks away. That they don't match that, right? Now you got 2 box office heavyweights, and if you can get the heavyweight division to come back alive, it resurges the whole boxing community. Why would you make this fight as soon as possible?
They've only had 2 other heavyweight fights that actually made me cry, and I didn't really cry, but like I was like literally sad, bro. The only 2 ever in history. Remember when Holyfield fought Mike Tyson? That hurt my heart. That hurt my heart. The Buster Douglas one did too, but that Holyfield fight, because don't get me wrong, Holyfield was always a formidable opponent. So it's not like we really expected Mike Tyson to win, but Mike Tyson was Mike Tyson. It's just you always expect him to win. But that kind of hurt more. I think it's the way it went down because 50 year and all that. But the other one that really hurt me was when Roy Jones.
Man, I was about to say the same thing. Oh my goodness. Who was that? Tucker? No, the tall.
No. When he lost, he got KO'd in the second round to Antonio. Oh,
yeah,
bro.
Yeah,
that
I'm with you.
That hurt my heart.
I'm talking about heart hurt. Now I'm with you now. I'm with you now on the whole crying thing. I ain't cried, but I cried inside.
Yeah, right.
When I was like, yeah, Roy, what are you doing?
Man, that hurt, bro. That one hurt.
I'm
and don't get me wrong, this Joshua. I was never. I was never really a Joshua fan, but I do respect him. So this was like probably one of the biggest. Like, all I'm saying is this: this is probably the biggest upset ever. This fight right here. I want to bring up those other fights to emphasize. Yes, bro. You like so when Tyson lost to Holyfield. I mean, Holyfield's a good. Holyfield's going to go down in history.
I'm not putting Holyfield in that, but I'm still not giving
Antonio Tarver. Although I don't think he is as good as Roy Jones. Obviously, I don't know how he won that fight.
He turned out to be pretty decent.
He turned out to be a pretty decent fight, bro. We will never hear of Andy Ruiz in anything ever.
Who else did Buster Douglas beat?
Well, okay, Buster Douglas. That actually may be the closest to this fight.
Thank you. I'm giving Buster more because we talking about Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
I ain't talking about just a nice heavyweight fighter. I'm talking about Mike Tyson. Got his ass whipped by Buster.
Anthony Joshua is the Mike Tyson of our day, though.
Bullshit. Anthony Joshua wins. Mike Tyson. You watched Mike Tyson. Niggas paid $100
Dante
to watch.
I think Dante's more Mike than Joshua.
So listen, motherfuckers paid $100 to watch Mike Tyson, and you knew it wasn't gonna last more than 30 seconds. Like,
I mean,
come on, that ain't Joshua.
I mean, so you think if Joshua and Wilder fought right now, who would win that fight?
Right now,
who would win?
I would say Wilder. I think Wilder will win right now because
but
Joshua is shook.
Wilder couldn't even beat the last dude he fought.
Hold on, wait. I say that. This is why I say that. I say Wilder right now because Joshua is coming off of this loss, and whether he wasn't prepared or not, he still got to deal with this loss.
Yeah.
That's a mental thing. That's still a mental thing, right?
He knows he's beatable. He knows
he's beatable. And it's like Mike said, everybody got a plan until you get punched in the mouth.
Yep.
Right? We don't know what he's going to look like when he come back. He's going to train hard.
Because that's one of the reasons why they haven't fought yet. He signed with some group, and I think it was a $100 million deal. And that's why they can't just clash, because they have their own idea of
they got their own agreements they got to do.
Yeah.
See, that's like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna go Wilder right now, even though I still think Joshua is more skilled. Joshua ain't got hit in the mouth. Yep. Life been hit Joshua in the mouth.
And you also
you say what you want to say. He got hit in the mouth last night.
And you say what you want. That boy Tyson Fury can box. He's skilled.
Yeah, boy.
He's skilled. And he went toe-to-toe with him.
He wasn't no joke.
And he went toe-to-toe with him.
He's so unorthodox, though. He doesn't look like he can box, but
he don't look like it. But if you saw that fight, he was giving it to that boy.
Yeah, well, he's a boxer, bro. He's a legitimate boxer.
He was what, T? He was doing what?
He was giving it to that boy. I'm trying to tell you. Yeah, I think he was in for it.
So, this fight between Joshua and Ruiz was weird. How old is Joshua?
20-something, huh?
20-something?
Mid-20?
Yeah. He's 20-something. So he's probably younger than this dude, because Ruiz is 29 years old, okay? So Joshua is younger than him. He's more fit than him.
Okay, so he's 29.
Joshua's 29?
Okay, they're both, so
oh, wow.
They're both the same age. They're both the same age. Joshua has a longer reach than him. He's actually, as we all know, more in shape than him, more conditioned. He's stronger than him. There is no reason he should have lost this fight. None. Ruiz had no upside in the fight. When they did the press conference or whatever, Josh would even let him hold his belt and take pictures with it. He let Ruiz hold his belt and take pictures with it. Like that.
And you know what he did? He manifested that shit. Nice his belt.
Huh?
Nice his belt.
I mean, he let him hold all of his belt. And it was, and Ruiz was like he felt like he was privileged to take a picture with Joshua's belt. But, I don't know.
No, I think it's just like,
I think it's Joshua any excuses because he's a professional at the end of the day. Like, bro, you don't have the luxury to think you're a professional boxer, bro. You got to prepare for everyone. Right. It's not like, bro, if you get hit in the mouth or get hit real good, this guy is still a professional boxer. Mm-hmm. And he has a 33-1 record. Now, he may not be as good as you, but I promise you, if he hits you in your mouth or in your jaw, that could be it. Like, you can't underestimate another boxer like that, man. I don't care who he is. He's still a professional boxer.
I think there definitely was a level of arrogance on Joshua's part.
Yeah, that was extremely arrogant.
That kind of, it manifested itself, right? It's kind of like you guys said, if you give an opponent that you know is not the sub part of your standard, if you give him an opportunity to think he is on your level or the level above you, that manifests itself into a level of confidence, and that confidence will show itself in execution at some point. At some point in that fight, Ruiz he got knocked down in the third, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure when he got up off of that loss that he had. That 33-1, I'm pretty sure he took something from that one loss, got his ass up off that canvas, and kept fighting.
If you didn't see it, Tony, he got dropped. Joshua tried to come in to finish him off, and then he dropped Joshua in the same round.
Oh, see? So
that's what I was talking about. You know what I'm saying? Those times when the team is not better than this team, but they gave him a little chance, made them think they could play with him, and now all of a sudden it's an actual game because now they believe.
Right.
And in his worst moment in the fight, less than a minute later, when he realized I can do this.
Right.
Literally.
That's all it takes. Sometimes it's all it takes.
You know what I'm saying? Like literally, he dropped him, got up. He went in to try to kill him, went in wild, and Ruiz caught him with a hook. And you could see it when he caught him. It was like, oh, that hurt. And about 20 seconds later, he was on the floor.
Yeah, he thought he was Golden State. He thought he was Toronto Raptors. Bro.
But yeah, man, that was a disappointing fight, man. We wanted to see them boys continue to move on.
That shocked the world.
Yeah, we wanted to see them boys move on and eventually have that mega heavyweight fight like a Mike Tyson fight back or the heavyweight division years ago when Wilder and Joshua got together. It's a possibility it can happen
and don't get me wrong, man. This is very important because boxing is not the same without
notable
really good heavyweight. Yes, without a good heavyweight division, a competitive, exciting heavyweight division. So that's why this is so important because we all know. But I think the best years of boxing are probably pretty much behind us for the most part. I think Wilder can bring it back because he's got a personality and he has a skill set. I think he can carry boxing to another level. But Mayweather did a great job. But ain't nobody really knocking anybody out in the lighter divisions like that. But people want to see big brute forces going against each other. And it's kind of not like that today. But it's important that everybody wants to see Joshua and Wilder. I think this hurt that happening, but it's still going to happen at some point, I hope. But that's why this is so important because this was the preview to the Joshua and Wilder fight. And so
I think,
we'll see what happens.
I think it could happen. I think actually helped. It's just now Joshua actually gotta win fights now. Like he can't have another off night because eventually, because now he's not gonna be the draw. Now you know what I'm saying. He's not the undefeated heavyweight champion. You know what I'm saying. He's gonna have to make the name. He's gonna have to beat the best that's around, and now that's Wilder and Fury. Whereas
I tell you what, if they do have a round 2 between Ruiz and Wilder, Joshua, everybody's gonna be watching that fight.
Yep.
So
yep, that won't go. It won't go. I didn't even know he was fighting last night. I woke up to this.
I didn't know either. I didn't know, but I will be checking out round 2 though.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. Well, with that said, fellas, have anything else you want to say today? Anything else on your mind?
Nah, man. You know, it's a great opportunity. Thanks for having us back. I want to just say, hey, man, can I just get y'all to read more?
Yeah, definitely.
Just read if you.
What do you have in mind, Tony?
I don't know. So I'm on this whole self-development kick right now. You know, I just finished Oprah Winfrey's "What I Know for Sure," which is a very good book, and it kind of led me to the next book I'm reading, which is "The Seat of the Soul."
Gotcha.
Which apparently gets rave reviews. So I'm diving into that one right now. But it's just something about just getting lost in a book. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Turn the TV off.
My co-host actually has what you're reading Wednesday, where he has like a book of the month. So y'all kind of birds of a feather.
What is? I've heard that before. What is the seat of the soul?
So the Seat of the Soul, as I am diving into it now, it's a book by Gary Zukav, and it's kind of about shifting your mindset on how you look at life and how you eliminate ego out of the intentions of the things that you do, and really just evaluate how you walk through life and the things that you do it with purpose, do it with intent. And again, I'm like chapter 1 into this book, so I don't want to misstate it for those that have read it. But that's what I'm getting from it so far, from the foreword and preface and where I'm at. But so far, so good. It's a real good book. Yeah.
All right. Well, I've been reading a lot of stuff on for work lately, so that's what I've been reading. I don't know y'all want to read that, but I actually have some books on my reading list I want to do for the summer. And unfortunately, and fortunately, I've read some really good books in the past, so I kind of want to reread some of those. But yeah, I mean, I guess next time we do this segment, I can kind of give you more on what books I'm reading. I'm really into history books, so I can tell you right now, I love history books. So I'm not really into like autobiographies over there. Yeah, I'm not really into autobiographies and stuff, and like I'm not even really into self-help books either for some reason. I'm really not. But I'll read one every now and then. But I'm not really into that. I'm just more into like I'm kind of fascinated with history and metaphysics. But that's another topic right there.
Gotcha.
So it's funny because it's each his own, right? But I'm super I'm not that fascinated with history, right? But I am super fascinated with people's perspective, right? And I think that's why I lean to a lot of self-help. Not so much to gain self-help from me, but to get a different perspective on something that is very general, like life or how you handle adversity or whatever, right? And just to get those different perspectives and to get it articulated differently, I'm absolutely fascinated by that, and I love to generate conversation based on those different perspectives. Right? So.
Well, I think it hits you because I'm actually expecting a self-help book from you at some point. So,
at some point, yeah, he has said that a number of times.
I'm being dead ass. I'm expecting a self-help book.
It's already rubbing off on the boy.
Your book probably be the next self-help book I read, but other than that,
I'll be sure to put that in motion.
Good deal. Yeah. Well, with that said, fellas, Tony, tell the people how to reach you.
All right. Once again, I can be reached on Instagram at manifest_your_success. Yeah, that's me. Right. Or Twitter at, what is it? T.
Underscore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, and you can reach me at GSIMS 100. I'm on Instagram. I've been told that I need to get on Twitter. I think I remember having told me that, so I may start a Twitter account at some point. I post a lot, but I just kind of post my thoughts throughout the day. You know, nothing too serious.
More reason to be on Twitter.
Yeah.
Quicker, It just things just go. It's like flash across my mind, and I'm just like, oh, let me go post stuff like that. But right now I'm on Instagram. You can catch me at GSIMS 100.
Good deal. You boys, any of you boys hitting the city for the 4th?
So I think I will be at Essence this year. So yeah, I will be down there.
How about you, G?
For the 4th of July?
Yeah. Essence.
Oh, for the 4th?
Essence.
Bro, for Essence?
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. I think you know what's funny? I've never been to Essence Festival.
What the
fuck? I'm so out of this, man. No.
Jesus.
Because
are you black?
Every year,
right?
Yeah, bro. Yeah, every year something. I get caught up with something, and but yeah, yep. I'm going. I am going this year. I promise you that.
Good deal.
I will. All right.
That's good to hear.
Yeah,
that means,
I am going.
You know what?
In fact, I may start going and get my ticket in my hotel room and all that right now.
What that means? What that means? The video podcast of the H2.
Yeah, you know, I'm trying to take it on the road, baby. You know, shit, and you guys can actually, may be able to catch us at one of our frat brothers event, Ladies Love R&B.
Well, I can tell you right now,
Ladies Love R&B. Well, anyway, Friday night, Ladies Love R&B by Vice and Play at the Apri Lounge. DJ by Brian Michael Cox and DJ Groove Kid, hosted by none other than my homeboy Takori TQ Hatch. That'll be Friday night on Essence Facts. Feel free to reach out to us on at HT Squared Pod on IG and Twitter. You want to reach out to us via email, you could be reached at htsquaredpod@gmail.com. And you can find us on at SoundCloud and YouTube at Hot Takes and Half Truth Podcast. As always, feel free to reach out to me at IG and Twitter at IamIvyJoe. And just like that, we're done. We try to do better next time. From the two of us to all of you, talk to you tomorrow.